I'm after pressing play there.
We got mouths full of shit. Perfect way.
So,
No. No more cattle. No more cattle.
is that very bright?
We'll have to move them though.
Frank,
They're there.
Frank, come on, man.
What?
We're live
Are we live?
on the internet.
We're live on the internet. And you're eating Chris, and I'm not even looking. Hello, internet. Oh,
No.
share.
I'm going to put this
Save.
a little bit back.
Share.
Put this back here.
I'm gonna. What's it? Oh, I can't remember how to do this. It doesn't matter. It's not important.
No.
Hello, everyone. Right, I'll stop. I'll pay you more attention than I will this.
Oh, now.
Yeah.
Thursday Night Live, eh?
Thursday night live.
Thursday
Evening
Night
time.
Live. Yeah. How do
This
you
is-
look there. Can you see us?
I've no glasses on. I lost my
Yeah.
glasses off my face.
Where?
I was at a festival during the summer and I was dancing at Orbital, and I walked out and about 20 minutes later I was like, why can't I see? And then I'm like, it was just when I'd started drinking. I hadn't drank in like a year and a half or something like that,
Yeah.
so I wasn't used to alcohol. So like a couple of drinks in I was just like, "Ah!" And then I was dancing, and then I was looking for something on the ground, and then I went, oh, I can't see, why can't I see? Oh, my glasses are gone. Off my face. Nowhere there. No idea where they're.
So you can't see in the distance.
Can't see in the distance. In the distance.
So-
Normally I put in my contacts, but just this morning I was working, so I didn't have a chance before I ran out the door.
I can't. I now, because I'm getting old.
Yeah.
When I take
Older.
when I take off my glasses, I can't see in the distance, but I can see up close. But when I put on my glasses, I can't see up close,
But you can see in
but
the
I can
distance.
see in the distance.
So you're gonna have to get bifocals, is it?
I am not getting bifocals.
No, you never. They're
can
so subtle now.
They're very subtle, yeah. But I may have to. I just think.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't. I'm not willing to. So I'm there now. If I'm looking at my phone, I have to have it like that, right up to my face.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a guy who used to be in my school. What is his name? I'm thinking Mario, but that's not correct. Marco. And he had that astigmatism in his eye where he had to read. No glasses, no surgery, no nothing. Maybe the surgery nowadays could fix it, but he had to read like this. Everything. So every class.
Yeah. Is that? Yeah.
Mad. And he had like size 15 feet, so he had to get his shoes specially made. So he was this huge sort of awkward, super intelligent, top of the class sort of dude.
Yeah.
Who just sort of lumbered around with these giant feet and ran like this. He's lucky he didn't get a lot of stick, but he was such a nice guy that like everyone was like, yeah, I don't like Marco. He's sound.
Yeah. And what was the astigmatism you're saying?
Some
Yeah.
sort of I'm not an optician. I don't know exactly what it was, but he had a problem with his eyes where he just couldn't change the focus
Yeah.
when it came to reading. But now they've laser surgery, so might
Well,
change.
I've thought about that, but I think glasses suit my physog. I think I've just...
I like. Yeah,
What?
I like him.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think at this stage of my life, it's too much of a change. I always used to think that, like when my dad would take off his glasses, he just looked like a different person. And it's
Yeah.
just kind of something missing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look. No?
Oh.
No? You think it could work?
It could work. It's
Yeah.
maybe a little bit because I know you so well.
Yeah.
But like other people aren't going to notice that.
No,
just
but
people
I just
when they
don't know
first
if it kind of, you see, when you have no hair and you're getting
It always
old,
comes back to the hair.
When you have no hair and you're greying and all that sort of thing, the glasses kind of just give you a little bit of something you can do different with your face. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? You can't like
Do you have different
change
glasses,
your
though?
hair. You can change your glasses, like, even though I've probably had the same style of glasses for a
Yeah,
long time.
yeah,
But
same
you can
here.
at least do something. But when you're bald, you can grow a beard and you can change your glasses. So it's a huge thing for me if I'm changing my glasses. Like a big decision. Now we're having a beer.
Can we get rid of these? Because literally, I'm like an addict, and just in the corner of
Well,
my eye, I see them.
we'll just sit here
Just sit here and eat.
and eat a few crisps for a few minutes, and then we.
You don't mind crisps? Actually,
Sponsored by Kettle.
this is to test the sound, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, can you hear the crunch? Good,
Salt
okay.
and vinegar crisps are just the greatest crisps ever.
These are the natural crisps. Jesus. Oh, they're so good. All right.
They're unbelievable. Do you want a beer?
A little bit.
Oh my god.
I had something very serendipitous and weird happen today. I'm dying to tell you this.
Go on.
All right. It started 2 weeks ago.
Right.
I was doing that comedy night. Remember I told you about the comedy night?
You have the opener, don't you?
I saw the opener.
I have the opener.
You have it? So doing the comedy night, I'm emceeing. So what am I doing? I'm talking to the crowd.
Yeah.
There's a guy in kind of like work trousers. You know the sort of trousers you'd see on a building site.
Yeah.
I go, so what do you do? And he goes, I'm a spotter. And we all, what's a spotter? Everyone burst out laughing. I didn't even need to, what?
No.
So what a spotter is someone who stands at the bottom of a scaffold, or a cherry picker, sometimes they're called, different types, or an MEWP. I work in health and safety, so I'm learning all of this. An MEWP is one of those ones that goes up and down. You know those? You know
cranes.
the scaffolds where you go, and there's a dude on it and goes,
they're machine.
and he goes up. Yeah. Machine scaffolds. Or even just the ones that they use on sites, right? And so he's the one who stays at the bottom, make sure that everyone's up there is okay, and make sure no one's walking underneath it and that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's called a spotter.
Spotter, okay.
So I thought that's
That's his
fascinating.
full-time job. It's just making sure nobody...
Yeah, I think that you like, that's his main job. He's just new on site, so he'll obviously move up.
Yeah.
He'll move up the scaffold. He'll move up in terms of jobs and responsibility. But it's quite an important job. Mm-hmm. So, on a side branch to that, I work for a health and safety company. And what we do is we go into building sites or pharmaceutical companies or all different types of places, and we put on plays. Mm-hmm. And in these plays, there are different health and safety incidents that happen. Now I'm giving you all these details.
Go on. Yeah.
Right, so, but there's a reason. Right, so, the reason I found Spotter interesting is because I went downstairs and he told me at the break of the comedy show, and he's like, oh, I'm like a spotter. And he's like, yeah. So a spotter is this. And I said, that's amazing, because I do these health and safety plays for building sites. So that's probably really interesting. And it turns out he's the brother of the guy who's helped me run the comedy club, Craig. So, going to work the next day, looking at the script, reading through it. Spotter pops up. I'm like, it's in the script. That's unbelievable, isn't it? So,
Go on, yeah. I'm not...
listen to this. Out of the building site today, 1,200 men working on it. Real lads environment. And you think, like, you know the way they say toxic masculinity is a polar opposite. It was super sound, having a laugh masculinity.
Yeah.
60 lads in a room, every one of them sound, looking out for each other, working in a could be dangerous job, having a laugh where they're doing a play for them. Yeah. And there's parts where you do parapets where you talk to the crowd. Great crack. Had the best crack today. While doing it, a guy asked us a question. There's a point where you interact with the crowd and he's like, do you know what a scaffold tag is? Did your man leave it on? It's all part of the play. And we were like, oh, we didn't know what it was. So at the break, chatting to this dude, what's a scaffold tag? Explains what a scaffold tag is. Guy walking by with them, he goes, here, come here. This is a scaffold tag. Shows how it works.
Go on.
That's a maintenance thing. I know this is all taking a while to get to. Yeah. Now, this is where it gets good. That's the base. Start the second show of the day. Who's sitting in the crowd? The spotter from the comedy show.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's mad. The same play that it's written in, that I use spotter for, the guy I saw 2 weeks ago, haven't done the play since. The first time I do it, or the second time of the day, he's in the crowd. That's unbelievable. He works on scaffolds. Found out what a scaffold tag is today while walking down to buy these beers. On the side of the road just outside your house is a scaffold tag, perfectly intact, that I have never seen or known about before in my life.
Go on.
Isn't that serendipitous?
Is it?
That I have never even heard or known what one of these is. I found about it earlier on today. I saw the guy who's a spotter who works on a scaffold, and then I'm walking up the street and there I'm sitting on the ground that's already filled in.
But is that not the thing, like a red car, your attention goes on, you'll see a red car all the time?
Maybe it is.
Yeah, it probably is, yeah.
But isn't that serendipitous? Isn't that the meaning of it?
Maybe. What does serendipitous mean?
Serendipitous is where things sort of happen, but they happen for a meaning and they're all interconnected at the same time. So
does it have to have meaning, or is it just things that seem to happen that are connected?
Well, if things are connected, Frank, then they have meaning.
But they do have meaning, yeah.
Jeez, Frank, I thought the reaction was going to be way huger from my
Well,
long
you
with
built
the
it
story.
up. If it had been, let's just
This is
say,
magic.
if it had been, but it is, I suppose
It's unbelievable to
you
me.
did build it up a little bit.
Did I?
Yeah,
The
tiny bit.
backstory was a bit long, was it?
Well, I suppose you see, then my brain was going to God. Somebody was walking by a scaffolding, and you said, "I better just have a look there," and then something fell, and you just stopped it.
Save some. Oh,
Saved somebody.
all right.
Sorry.
Actually, that's a better story. So then,
That's what
I was
my-
walking by,
Yeah.
and this guy fell, and I caught him. Fully grown man. I'm strong.
That's amazing. That's a great story.
I was blown away, but I've been waiting for the last hour to tell you that. Nuala reacted far more generously.
Did she?
Yeah, she was like, that stuff freaked me out. And I was like, I know.
Yeah, you see, I suppose I kind of think about that sort of thing, about the way things. Oh yeah,
Cheers.
See,
Sorry.
I went on ahead there because you were telling your story. And I
Sorry.
was waiting.
Yeah, no,
and then-
fair, it's fair enough.
Cheers.
First beer
Here
on the
we are.
podcast.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to do now,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Drink beer. We're strangers to drinking beer. How is your beer? Do you want to swap tastes? So we
Now,
taste
this
each
one
other's?
I am doing. Oh, that's the pale ale.
Mine is in a pale ale too.
That's a Wicklow Wolf, though, right? This
Mine
is like.
is a Galway Bay
And what is
Bad
it?
boy.
That's the. It's a full sale.
full sale IPA.
So full on IPA. It's-
Yeah, I need to be careful. It's a 5.8%er. What's yours?
Yeah, they're about equal.
No,
I
there's
think
a
yours
difference
is a
in-
bit smoother.
Mine's nicer. See what I mean?
This is 4.8.
That's yeah.
Wow.
You notice the difference though, don't you?
I did. Look how proud you are.
I lift myself up in the chair, but you see, it's a taste thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I am actually into Kinnegar at the moment.
Yeah, they're very good.
And I'm liking a little bit of citrus in the beers. It's mad how many beers there are now. You can literally go in and go, I'll try a bit of this, and I'll try a bit of that.
Beers, they're my weakness, really. You know, I
do
just
like-
adore them. I adore craft beers. I
adore
I
them.
really adore them. Yeah, it's just you see. I suppose up until maybe I was 40, the idea of beer was just insipid, and then suddenly I stumbled upon craft beers.
So what were you before then?
Heineken. I
Yeah.
only drank it for the sake of drinking it.
Just for getting pissed?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
pissed. Whereas now, I know it's hipstery and all that sort of thing, but I mean, to actually enjoy drinking alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a
Then
good
with crisps, throw me a few crisps there now.
thing. Yeah, I know. What about wine? You do wine, don't
I
you?
do like wine. Yeah,
I don't do wine yet.
red
I
wine.
have to. I'm a white wine man. If I have it, I have a Sauvignon Blanc with some fish. Yeah, yeah.
Red wine with cheese. Red wine with
Nope.
no.
Not a big cheese fan either. I know. I shouldn't even be eating all this stuff. I've stopped eating all this. I had bread yesterday.
I hear if you're having a few beers,
Yeah.
you can't presume. Oh, I shouldn't be eating crisps. Like,
Well, yeah. No, you can.
can you?
Of course you can.
You can.
Yeah.
No, you can.
I
yeah.
had
Say
bread
what you want.
yesterday, and look at this. I get a rash. If I eat, that's from 2 slices of bread. See all the red?
Is it really white bread?
Yeah. Well, no, it was brown bread. No, just bread. That sort of stuff. Yeah. So like the beer won't help. I'll get itchy now in a few minutes
From what?
from the beer.
Will you really?
Yeah, I had to take some really strong medication last year for different things, antibiotics, and since then I'm gluten intolerant. So you know the way you go, oh, gluten intolerant people just so meh. Well, now there's a direct link. They're saying to really, look at that person with this gluten. But they,
You reminded me of McGregor
Yeah.
in that conference when he was going.
oh yeah,
So
so arrogant.
it's so horrible. Yeah.
Did you see his tweets?
His analysis of the fight.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, interesting.
He's an interesting individual.
He's interesting. Yeah.
But as I was saying, so they're saying like a lot of that gluten intolerance now comes from strong medication. Changing the bacteria in your stomach. Then
They're
your body
making
can't.
it up like what is gluten intolerance? What is gluten?
I don't know.
You don't know what gluten is.
I don't even really know. I just know that since I took the medication, if I eat bread, like if I eat pizza, I'll feel like vomiting.
Because it's just such a
Too much bread. Yeah.
Too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get it either, but I do notice that if I'm just if I eat that sort of food, I'll complain about being bloated.
Yeah. And you get that weird oval belly thing.
Yeah.
And it's weird for me because I'm so like lean that when I do eat something like that, I kind of the bloatedness looks odd because like it doesn't fit in with any of the rest of my body. I look like Gollum. If I get naked and I stand in front of a mirror after pizza, so it's just like Gollum. It's not good.
Yeah. You don't want to be standing in front of a mirror doing that like to yourself.
Yeah, but you gotta do it. You gotta do it though, because it's funny. Because usually if you've had pizza, you've had a few beers and you get home and you're like, bleh, 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 I'm good. So it's Schmiegel.
Oh, but then when you start looking at yourself and you're going, oh God, I'm huge. That's just ridiculous.
Well, you see, I can't say that. I'm not huge.
No, you're like a snippet, a whippet.
A whippet.
Yeah.
I'm a gazelle.
Yeah, a gazelle. That's a nice thing to say about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful, majestic creature.
Yeah.
Running through the wild, being chased by lions.
We could, if I don't know what you're like, I have to think about I have to go, okay, I'm going to put my beer down because I could have it sank in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then 10 minutes later I'd have another one sank.
Yeah.
And
I can do that.
Yeah, we'd be just rocket shipped.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong? I actually don't have work in the morning. I got to do tax in the morning. And a little bit of tax and a little bit of studying tomorrow. And that's about it.
Well,
and
you
then
need a little bit of a head for that. Yeah.
Emma flies in at 11. So I'm free till 11 tomorrow night.
She'll be glued to this now, will she?
Well, she's got to put Alfie down to bed. So
Okay.
I think she would be if she's not too busy with Alfie. But she'll watch it later. She generally does. Yeah.
Right. She likes to get a mention, I suppose.
Yeah, hi Emma. She did say thanks for that.
Did she?
Yeah, she did. She said thanks for mentioning me.
Glued to it. She was glued to it. She watched the whole lot?
Yeah, she'd watch the whole lot. Yeah, and then talk about it afterwards. Yeah, she loves me. So she watches it because I'm in it. I'd watch it if she was on it.
Would you?
Yeah, I would.
I don't know if you would.
I would? No, I would. I would. If I was on it as well.
If you were on it as well, yeah.
What do you call it? She's the polar opposite to me. So she's not a fan of being the centre of attention. Well, I don't mind being. What do you call it? We went to, what's it? The Great Gatsby in London, the interactive play. It's coming to the gate in Ireland. You haven't?
I know the movie. And
Look into the play is coming to Ireland, and basically you go into a nightclub and you dress like they do. So we got dressed up in the 1920s gear, and you go and you have they only serve like I think it's whiskey and gin and stuff in the bars, and you can get a beer. But really it's just the sort of drinks that they would have had in the speakeasies, and you go and they teach you how to do different dances, and then you get pulled off into different rooms with actors and they're interacting with you, and then you get pulled back into the main area where the play takes place. It's unbelievable.
And is there a story? Does the story develop?
Yeah, it follows The Great Gatsby. They tell The Great Gatsby story, but
and
you're
a part of it.
at the party.
Oh, wow.
It's unbelievable.
That's totally unique.
So when she was in London doing a bit of work, I flew over, and as a surprise I brought her there. Like, I didn't tell her what it was. I just told her she had to dress 1920s. And then when we were on the train on the way down, I was actually in the taxi. She was like, okay, I have 2 guesses of what this is. And I was like, and she hadn't Googled, she kept the surprise. And I said, okay, but I'm going to look out the window so you don't get any tells. And then she's like, The Great Gatsby, and then some other, I don't know.
So she got it.
She got it, but I didn't tell her. I went, no, it's a new piece, you see, it's new writing. And she's like, really? And then we got there and they're like, are you here for The Great Gatsby? She's like, yeah. But the reason I started telling you this is because Emma's the opposite to me. So when they were doing all the chatting and the actors were sort of coming up to us, I was there like, and they really liked us, they used us a lot. But she would be behind me, I'd be there like, get up here, will you?
But you're dying to get in the thick of it.
Yeah, she's like, I don't want to be here.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's really interesting because sometimes I'd be thinking, what new, that theatre is a kind of. I wouldn't even dream of going to theatre, for example.
Yeah.
And I kind of go, well, is it just going to die? Is that just the way it is? And are these, what new things will come along? And then it's nice to hear from the innovation there. That people are kind of going, well, this is how we can make it. You see, we all like to be part of shit. Like I think it's a great idea. Really clever.
There's a lot of site-specific stuff that you might find. Where say it's set in like an old castle, and then you go in and there'll be like a horror story, and it's acted out like in the castle.
Yeah.
And you make your way through it and stuff like that. Or even on the streets of Dublin, where you walk along through the streets and you have like a narration in your ear, and just one person, sort of you follow the actor, and then they bring in, you bump into different characters on the street.
Yeah.
And then they interact with you. And I was coming in, I remember years ago when I was acting, as a profession, and I was going into a rehearsal studio down near Foley Street, I think it is, called The Lab. And I was walking in, And this homeless guy walked up to these three Americans and was like, "Here, how are you? Let me have a word with you there. I just want to have it." And so I went over and was like, because they were like, "What the hell?" So I went over and was like, "Here, buddy, would you leave them alone?" Like, he was drunk. And then some person came over and went, No. This is part of the play." And it was so real that I was taken in as a Dubliner going, "Look, come here now, would you leave them?" You know the way you go over and have a joke. Would you get away from them, would you? And he just sort of ignored me, and then a little assistant came over.
I didn't realise that sort of stuff going on.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's very different.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And you don't go often, do you?
No, I don't. See, Emma had never been to the theatre, so I wanted to bring her somewhere.
And did you ever, being an actor, did you ever apply for roles in theatre? Did you want to be in a play?
Oh, I did loads. I did loads of plays, man.
Yeah, go on. Yeah,
that was my main thing.
Plays.
Before I did, Game of Thrones and all that sort of stuff. Plays.
Just Game of Thrones.
Just throwing that in there. One line. It's called a day character. Is it called? No, it's called a day something. Anyway. Yeah, theatre, man. I did it for years. Like all the time.
And did you like it?
Yeah, I was very good at it. I was very good at theatre. I'm better at theatre than I am on screen because I panic in my head. So the way I used to describe it is like there's a little person inside my head who's controlling the outside. But in theatre you can't see directly in the eyes. So if I'm panicking going like what's going on, but my voice and my body and all the outside seems calm and is doing the right things, then it's fine. But in film you have to be the emotion. Because if you don't be the emotion, you'll see it in the eyes. You'll see that someone's saying the words, you know.
Okay.
But when you're theatre, you can pretend to be that, while inside just be like, "What is going on? I'm panicking." And I panic a lot when I go on stage. I used to panic a lot, which is why I drank so much when I was acting. I'd panic. Like the biggest show I ever did, I remember like my hands would be like this in the first scene, and I was like, and I'd always be paranoid that people would see my hands shivering, but they wouldn't because they'd be caught up in the show, and got great reviews for that play and all. But in my head, the whole time it was just panic.
Yeah, but I obviously did a tiny bit of it. I couldn't. I couldn't. There's no way I could do it. With the anxiety for the weeks, would just not be worth it.
The anxiety is
thinking about it. I just wouldn't. It wouldn't be worth it to me. Net. The reward wasn't worth the anxiety.
Wait. Net.
What I meant to say is that, say even going and doing the classes, and I'd know I'd have to stand up and do something during the class, which is kind of a safe enough environment to be able to do in the class.
Oh no, it's a very safe. That's why
I still was petrified, and I'd be sick in my stomach until it was over. Sick, and then I'd be delighted I did it, but then if I knew that something was coming the following week, then the build-up would be extraordinary, like the anxiety, any sort of performance like that. The idea that I would have to perform.
But Frank, what is this?
The only thing the difference is not there isn't a performance. It might be a little bit close, but it isn't a performance.
Right, so you're just being frank, and so that.
Well, I'm not even. I'm not thinking about, well, am I saying the right thing or the wrong thing, or am I doing a good job or not job? Can they see that I'm nervous? You know, all of that sort of stuff. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And it's kind of like it's upstairs in my attic, and whilst it might be on the internet, it doesn't really that doesn't feature. I don't and I would hate if I ever thought that I had to be a certain way, or there was an expectation. I probably wouldn't do it anymore.
All right, yeah, great.
I wouldn't like the idea of feeling trapped in any way, or that's the way it had to be, or you know that there was a performance required. That this is what this is the expectation. Oh, it should be like this, you know, or I should talk about this subject or not. That would, I'd absolutely panic about being boxed in,
right,
and closed off. That would be suffocating for me.
All right, so then when we were doing Go Live and stuff, when we had to do certain segments, did you feel that was more?
The idea that I would be told what to do in any instance, then you know, I say to him when I can't perform for the start. I can't learn lines off by heart. Yeah. Because then I have to do something. I have to perform those lines. And then it's it's counter. It's opposite of what. You know, it's just the opposite of how you live normally. Performance, it's pretending, and I hate the idea of pretending.
Right.
But then you see, the only time that I've ever done the bit of acting that I really enjoyed was the idea that I got lost in what I was doing.
Oh, did you?
Got lost, so it didn't feel like I was acting.
Well, that's what real acting is.
Yeah.
That's what that when you get it, when it lands, you're just lost in the moment.
You're lost in the moment, and you might as well be filled with rage, or
Yeah.
you might as well be, and it's getting to that point. I did love the idea of that, and that's what really attracted me to it. But then having to do, you know the way when they're trying to teach you how to be an actor, be the chicken on the ground, and I think that's just to get you in the zone. But I can't do that. Be the chicken.
I think it's also for you to let, like, those sort of exercises are for you to let go of everything that you have.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you're able to stand in a room full of people and pretend to be a chicken, then you don't really care about the perception that other people have of you once you're in that moment.
When you say it like that, I can see the merit of it. Then
and so
you let go of your
when
fucking
you
self almost.
let go of that and get to that point, then you're able to be the best you can be.
Yeah,
it's like the same with the emceeing that I do and all that. When I used to care loads, I wasn't as good because I was more rigid and everything. There was no free flow. But now when I get up to do it, I'm like, I know I can do this. I know I just have to be myself, and there's certain things I have to do. I have to control the crowd and make them do this and get them laughing at this certain point. But in reality, the crowd will take care of themselves, you know.
Yeah.
But it's different with emceeing because they're not expecting to be entertained in the same way as theatre. Like if they come in, they're like, I'm going to judge this theatre now. This theatre had better entertain me. If it doesn't, I'm going to give it the thumbs down. The lions are going to come out and eat them, that way. But metaphorically speaking, when they walk out afterwards, I'll be like, But and that's what people do when they go to theatre. It's like, I'm here to judge. I want to be entertained. No, you don't. You want to sit there. A lot of them, you want to sit there and say, well, that was shy, wasn't it? Or that was great, wasn't it?
Yeah, you want to be that, like, you want to get your oar in it somehow, as opposed to sit back.
Oh,
and you want to put your stake and your slant. This is what I thought of this.
Yeah. Even when you go see a movie, I thought it was great, because it's more about the talking about the movie. Isn't it? A lot of the times, unless it's a really good movie, and then you're completely lost. But if you go to watch crap, it's like, well, it's just rubbish. It's easy to watch, so you can talk about it.
But you like that idea. I think when you get you like that idea of being lost in performance too, though, don't you? That's it is a kind of a.
Yeah. I think that's
you're true. When you're at your best, you're almost more true to yourself. Some people said about acting that. Some actors have said that they really only ever felt themselves whilst they were acting. They only felt at peace most when they were acting, because they could really express anger. They could really let go with whatever. Whereas in life you have to be guarded. Can I say this? Will this person judge me if I'm like this or not like this? Whereas in acting, that you can be totally the role, or you can be totally the person. Then you can escape. You can escape from. I don't know what you're escaping from, like, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, my mind jumped out, because as you were talking about it, I was thinking about different interactions that I've had in the last 2 weeks, and how I have, at the moment, I've been going back to, it's kind of like I've researched to the old me, and I'm letting myself just go, blah, 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 a lot more, and being less guarded. But there have been a few points where I've been talking so much that I've kind of gone to myself, okay, you need to just stop talking in this interaction and let other people have a conversation. Like if there was 4 people, and that guarded sort of feeling, and it is difficult, but then shouldn't we be doing that within our everyday life as well? Not guarding ourselves so much and just letting it run free?
Well, I think that letting it run free is equally listening as well, I think, isn't it? Somehow getting out of the way, really. If you're getting out of the way yourself, then you're not there trying to judge somebody, or you're just going to hear them. And then equally, when you're letting go, talking, I don't know, there is like a fine balance. You can drown somebody out sometimes, and you have to give it a little bit of time. I suppose that's the art of conversation.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Are we gone? They can still hear us, can they?
I think so.
Yeah, I was watching this comedian, Dylan McDonough, and he was chatting and back and forth.
About those crisps, go on.
I haven't. Do you want them?
Yeah,
and he was talking about basically that, and the presenter kept going like, so what is this stream of consciousness? We just keep going back and forth, and he goes, that's called conversation. And the woman was like, what? Oh. And then she said it again. But this stream of consciousness is yours. And he's like, why do you keep saying stream of consciousness? And it made her organ. Because it's true. He was just talking like a normal person. But because they were on a chat show, it didn't feel normal. Because, yeah, I think I let a little smidge. Because in a chat show, you don't normally talk normally. It's like, I'll ask you a question, and then you reply, and then we'll see what happens there.
You have to be really snappy. See, I don't know if I could ever do anything like that because
I think you could.
It's probably better for. It's hard to know. You see, like I was listening to Joe Rogan's there, and Joe Rogan's is 3 hours. It was pure banter, and it's.
Which one was this?
No, it's just this latest one. It's this guy from MIT. He's really interesting. It really spoke.
It wasn't the guy with the suit who was doing artificial intelligence.
Yes,
I was listening to that when I went to get the beers,
and I was listening to that while I was running.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant. I was only
about how he spoke.
Yeah, very clever and concise, and the way he was talking about. And do you know what really got me about that? He said at one point he was talking about the movie Ghost.
Yeah,
and he just went, "It's a beautiful love story. You should see it.
Everybody should see it."
Yeah, but he's this sort of robotic in his speech, very clipped, and everything he does, you can just say that. Like, he's the kind of guy that if you watch it in the movie, this is the way I imagine. He wakes up in the morning, he walks in. His soap, he washes his hand the perfect way, he brushes his teeth the perfect way, gets in. There's no inefficiency within what he does.
I don't know, I didn't get that now.
That's what I got. That he's very efficient and everything works perfectly, but then he still has room for.
I think he's unbelievably questioning though. He was kind of talking about, he says he thinks most things that he says is absolute bullshit.
Oh, does he say? Did he say? Oh, I didn't get that far.
Yeah, well, he just says, I just sure half the time I think I'm just bullshitting. And this is an MIT trying to build artificial intelligence for cars. Yeah. But I love the idea that he was talking that he was saying the kiss of death was an idea in martial arts.
Yeah.
The equivalent in artificial intelligence is a self-aware machine.
Wow.
And Joe Rogan was saying, that the kiss of death is just not possible in martial arts. It's just not real.
Yeah. And you can make it. What was the word he said? Incrementally better.
Yeah.
That word. Yeah,
but your man was. You see, what your man was kind of getting to was you're learned and you're an expert in the area, so you see limitations. Whereas he tries to open himself to the possibility of the impossible.
That there are no limitations.
There are no limits, whereas he still is an expert in the area, and he kind of says, well, in order for artificial intelligence to become self-aware, that's the kiss of death. That's this leap into the absolute unknown, and it's exponentially impossible, almost, for it. But he doesn't allow himself to, he enters this discussion with an open mind. So that's kind of why we was saying a lot of what I say is bullshit, because he kind of was going, well, it's learned and it's understanding as opposed to... And then he quoted this poem. I liked the idea that, revolutions are created by those who believe in the impossible. And I thought it's just a kind of a nice, different way to... Champions of the impossible are those that lead... It
leads to this book. Sorry, because we discussed it earlier, but that's what makes me think of how non-conformists can change the world. That sort of idea, where it's sitting in with
of the impossible. It's like he was saying, Elon Musk is a champion of the impossible, and I think you kind of either like that fantastical, impossibly possible scenarios. That they're kind of just exciting, aren't they? Or I don't know. I've always
I mean, everything you said there, it was fantastic in terms of the way that we think and the way that we look within the world. There's about 17 things I could have said based on it. It's almost a childlike state. Do you know the way you're saying you learn stuff and therefore you put yourself into boxes? It's the same with becoming an adult, right? Because the more you grow, the more you learn, the more you go, that's not right. Yeah. That's not possible. And kids are still like, but why not?
Yeah, why not?
Why isn't it possible? Oh, it's because of these limitations. It's like, well, are those limitations correct? It's the same with lots of science. Most of the science that we know in the world at one point was thought to be absolutely impossible. Yeah. And then a new guy came up and went, no, it's correct. And it was people who think much in his vein. It's like with Tesla and stuff like that.
Yeah, he was kind of saying, he said scientists will look at things and go, and they'll just raise their eyes to heaven and go, that's just bullshit, that's not possible, or it's just never going to happen.
Yeah.
Whereas he tries to maintain that idea of just to keep it open. That well, I'm saying that because I've studied an X, Y, and Z, but I think it is in that innocence and that openness to impossible things that.
But then wouldn't that leave you very fractured? Because the reason why we can cope with the world as we get older is that we're able to build these sort of boundaries that make us go, okay, so this is the world. Pardon me, and this is the world that I can't. That's also the gluten there. You see the burps.
That's just the beer. It's just the beer.
Yeah.
Don't blame the beer.
So we need sort of structure for us to cope within the world and everything that's happening. This is what it is up until this point anyway. This is what we have learned so far, and so maybe I'm wrong in thinking that. But when he lets go of that, then therefore doesn't he fall into a state of like almost chaos because there's no boundaries for him there to hold on to the reality that he has created within the world.
I think it depends in a way, doesn't it? Like if you're kind of, you know what you know, and you're kind of going, oh, it's a bit, I don't like the jail of what I know. I kind of just want some other possibility, really. The jail of all these knowns, or they're stale almost. You kind of go, well, I've inherited all this sort of knowledge. And it is all knowns, and there is something that's stale about it. I suppose that's where the seeking thing comes from. You're kind of looking, going, well, is there's something more? Maybe over here it's great. Maybe,
Well, we were talking about that seeking the other day, right? Well, that we're seekers, I suppose. Always looking for something new and different. Well, I found it through meditation. I was saying it to a few people today. Like I was constantly seeking a way to calm myself.
Yeah.
And curb sort of addictive traits within myself and self-destructive traits within myself. And while seeking, I found meditation. And that in itself changed the complete way that my brain worked. Because I was able to actually let go of a lot of stuff, much. I don't know if it's the same way that he does, because he does it consciously. I mean, I'm not too sure. How does he do that?
Who?
This guy that we were talking about on the podcast.
Go on.
How does he let go of the ideas? Because I know that he says, okay, so what I try to do is let go of all my preconceptions about a certain idea.
Yeah.
But can you actually let go of those preconceptions, or do you just try to think of it without those preconceptions? But even when you think of it, when you picture it, then therefore aren't you picturing it in the way that your preconceptions already built that idea?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I know totally what you're saying. He's talking about going to see a movie the second time, and the first time he watched it, he goes, "This is bullshit," blah 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 blah. And then the second time he said, "Right, I'm going to switch off my scientific brain and try and embrace this." So how do you let go of all that? I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a good question.
Yeah, how do you actually let go of it? And I mean, is it easy for me to go, oh sure, I just let go of my preconceptions and I went in and watched it again? But maybe it was just, we see, this is in terms of a scientific way of looking at it. Maybe it was just the way that I was that day. It's like I watched the movie Sleepy Hollow with my mother, and we thought it was the biggest load of rubbish we've ever seen, right? But then everyone kept going, "Oh, that movie is brilliant." So I went, you know what? I'll watch it again, and I watched it again by myself, and I thought it was amazing, right? But is it because that my mother was there, or is it
she
because
was annoying you saying it was rubbish?
No, it's just because when me and my mum, we'd gone out for dinner and we'd been chatting and we sort of
Sorry, Mrs. McDonough.
No, I'm not blaming my mother for it at all, but it's just that the tone of the room and our atmosphere, we'd had a glass, or my mum had some wine, I'd had some beer, we sat down in my house, we watched a movie, So we were in a good sort of giddy mood, and then we put that movie on, and it didn't suit the tone of where we were at that moment.
Yeah, right? I can never watch a film having a beer.
No?
Not a good few beers. No, it's not enough to keep me going.
We weren't pissed. We were just having a sip of beer.
Okay, alright, yeah, fine.
But then, okay, so then when I watched it again, I liked it. Was that because I was on my own and there was a different atmosphere and a different tone to the room? Or was it because everyone had told me it was such a great movie, so I changed my expectation of what the movie could be when I went to go see it?
I don't know. I mean, it's impossible not to be influenced by your environment, because I'd be watching something and I know Nuala's not interested, so she starts phoning it.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of going, changing. I want to be on my phone. It's not really fair that you're on your phone. We've agreed that we're not going to phone this.
Yeah.
And then she and I, even the haunting on House Hill.
Oh, I don't know it.
This is the new Netflix thing. It's a horror. It is quite good. So.
Is it though?
No, it is.
Yeah.
Nuala doesn't think it's good. Good. She thinks it's okay.
Okay.
And so, but the fact that
like
she...
the new Making a Murderer, which everyone was watching, which is just an extension of a show, which is...
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but all I'm saying is just she doesn't like it too much. So, I mean, she thinks it's okay, but that definitely starts to influence. If I was watching it on my own, it's just much nicer as opposed to somebody commenting, because then you're starting to look at it going, you're starting to pick holes yourself or agree with. It's very hard to kind of go, no, she's totally wrong.
Yeah.
When she's phoning it.
And that's someone else's opinion just coming in on you.
Yeah.
So what about all your preconceived notions that you've built up all over your life?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know,
Well,
and
now
then
you
going
see
in and going, no, I'm just going to forget all of those exist. And I'm going to look at this with a clear mind.
Well, now
is that possible?
Well, now you see, so this
because you're not you then.
Okay, well,
so
hold
this
that
is...
now.
We're getting into non-duality then.
No. Actually, I actually was thinking, you know, about sending you a message about going, should we go down the rabbit hole?
Okay. I like rabbit holes.
Yeah. Well, you would have experienced rabbit holes, I'm sure,
I have.
in different states.
Through ayahuasca and stuff like that. Yeah.
So let's go down it.
Well, actually, while we were leading into this conversation, I was thinking, this has a lot to do with ayahuasca. That is a way to get to that point. You know, that way, like he does it just sitting there and watching, but ayahuasca kind of does that. It kind of, or at least hallucinogenics. To me, it strips you of who you are and leaves you bare almost to a degree where you see yourself in a perspective that you've never seen before. And that's why you're able to get the changes within yourself.
Yeah, I think it does change certain things. Yeah,
because you look at things, because you could look at a...
Still an experience, but
it is an experience, because you are experiencing that's happening. But that's
over.
Yes.
It's an experience, but so just the rabbit hole.
I don't know if it is, but that's
go on then.
Well, because, alright, so say I did ayahuasca.
Yeah.
And I had all these incredible hallucinations. There's different ways people experience it, but I had journeys where I literally went through journeys. I told you about them before. I went through to hell, and I did, went up the path and the smoking dude and all that sort of stuff, right? But the change that happened in me didn't happen when I was in Ecuador. The change that happened with me happened over the next year, because slowly the ideas and the things that I'd seen whilst in the ayahuasca experience started to make sense to me as I started to analyze it. So the experience of ayahuasca has never really left me. And it was never just an experience that happened in Ecuador. It's something that happened inside of me and continues to happen to this day.
Like something was planted or whatever that slowly evolved?
No, I think it was more the plant went inside me and just let me see the things that really were and the things that really weren't. And therefore, it was stripped away of my intellectual mind. I've been having this conversation with another friend of mine about how, we use our intellect too much, reading a state of Tao and actually just looking at the world as an open sort of thing without too much thought going into it. But it became integrated with me. Oh yeah, so I suppose that is kind of planting, but at the same time opened me in the same way. So it was like the ayahuasca was a key that went inside, and maybe the key is still embedded inside me and has been planted in that way, but at the same time it opened the door that let everything else that was already contained inside me just sort of grow. So yeah, maybe you were right, planted. Well, not right or wrong, but it is a good analogy for.
Well, I think you see, you made me think about it too. But it's a kind of they talk about there is an integration time after ayahuasca, and that it's the seeds of something that basically, ayahuasca blows you apart for a moment, explodes every kind of idea. Like you said, it strips you raw, but it explodes the person, and then maybe the person comes back together a little bit, whatever, afterwards, but the light has got into the system, and the cracks, that there's the space or opportunity for other things to change, maybe, or that rigid person who is this a smoker, this identity, all those things, they're blown apart, and when it comes back together again, it's not quite the same afterwards. That's fair to say about it, and that it probably never will be the same, but ayahuasca's an interest. I still would look at it as I don't like the idea of experiences, or I don't like the idea that some people take ayahuasca 100 times, and
it's way too much.
I just think
I am thinking of doing it again. I've been thinking recently.
I know you have,
it's about time.
Yeah.
Well, I've been thinking of it ever since. I was going to do it next year, and that was, I think it's 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Is it? It's not 2 years. It's not last year. No, it's 2 years ago, and 2 years ago this month. I'd have been coming back from it now. Just back from Ecuador.
Wow.
Is that 2 years ago? So wait, I gotta do a calculation without saying it out loud.
I'll get you a pad. It was probably
2 years ago.
Go live.
Exactly 2 years ago.
We were doing go live, so it was 2 years.
Were we doing go live just 2 years ago?
Because you were gone for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. How long ago does that feel? Before we go down the rabbit hole, I know we need to get back to the hole.
We don't need to.
I kind of want to. After watching that little video you made, I was very intrigued. But that's 2 years ago. How long ago does go live feel? Since December.
It doesn't seem long. It seems like a distant universe, even though there's the remnants of it here in this room around us.
Yeah.
But it does feel a little bit like a distant universe.
Man,
almost.
we had so much crap.
We had some fucking balls. That's what we had.
Some fucking balls.
Yeah,
And
with
with
big
crack,
balls. Yeah.
and it was worth every second.
Yeah, it was absolute lunacy adventure. That you never know. Like,
20 years. I told
Really?
you in 20 years, because you made that little compilation of
Oh,
us
the
all
compilation's
together.
so good to watch
In
that.
20 years, we'll watch that. We'll be sitting down one day going, do you remember that? We shot that on a camera. Because we'll be watching it in virtual reality or something. Like
Yeah,
that.
we'll probably be able to. Go
It's like,
back
can
into
we
it.
upgrade this? And our grandchildren will be in going, what is this? An SD card? They still make these.
Yeah.
It'll be mad, right?
You sit on normal real seats. You
Yeah.
sat on seats back then. And that's
seats
so
back then.
weird.
We don't know what'll happen in 20 years. Okay, so 20 years ago, what did we not have technology-wise? The CD, I know, came out in 1990.
20 years
So 20
ago.
is 2000, just before 2000.
Well,
CDs
we weren't
around.
phone addicts.
We didn't have Facebook.
Yeah, we weren't
Yeah.
technology addicts.
Nope,
and
we weren't.
our phones were not an extension of ourselves, which they are totally now.
Totally.
They are totally an extension of who we are. And they will be integrated in some way.
Into our into a chip.
I noticed myself, I'm so bad now with my phone, and I realise that because I put so much shit into it, that really it is like, it's pictures, the email, but everything and anything, it's an extension of
Music, podcasts.
Yeah, everything.
How do you listen to podcasts in the morning? See, I don't have kids, so when I get up in the morning and I have the construction across the road, I put on my sound cancelling earphones, and put on a podcast, and I just go for it.
Nice.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that without them.
No.
Sound cancelling earphones, you didn't have them.
No.
So what will we have in 20 years? Right, the flying car. They say that's impossible.
No, it's not that it's impossible.
Neil deGrasse Tyson and Elon Musk, both of them said that it's too noisy.
It'd be too noisy.
Yeah. So there's no.
That's
point.
why he went underground.
Yeah.
To get speed.
Because you can. What is it? The layers. You could go 30,000 foot below.
I think technology will be integrated as part of who we are.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
As long it's better than it taking over.
As long as somebody, can you imagine a scenario where a government message goes out and everybody gets it straight to their phone or straight to their persons.
Chips.
It's the
mass manipulation.
Here's
keep that. That's the best movie ever.
No, here's the better movie.
Okay,
right? You ready
okay.
for it?
Ooh.
So this is somebody's gonna fucking nick this idea.
Yeah,
but
I know.
anyway,
I know.
This
All
one
right,
now. You ready?
copyright. All right, we are copywriting this.
This copywriting this idea. So
Can I be Frank podcasting?
a loop. Picture a loop.
Mm-hmm.
Think of Adam and Eve in the garden eating the apple.
Are they banging, or they're just eating apples?
No, stay with me now. Keep your brain on.
Okay, sorry.
Well,
they're naked, right?
yeah, well, they are. Which
Do you
they're
think
being
Adam
banged.
was well hung? Sorry, no, you're right. He's huge.
No, bear with me.
Sorry, how big is that fig leaf? Huge. No, go on.
Go on, yeah.
No, go on.
So eating the apple in the garden of good and evil. Imagine a scenario where it comes to a scenario whereby Apple computers develop a little device that they say you have to eat this and then you'll be fully connected to the internet. And there, in that moment, is this loop that we have lived in, and there's an eternity of loop that we cannot get out of this loop of.
So we go back to Adam, and then it comes all the way
in
up
that
to
moment in time, we eat that piece of technology, and we're gone in some way, shape, or form. And then life is this loop of trying to get out and not eat that apple. But everybody's saying, Dylan, take the apple, eat the apple, Dylan. Why wouldn't you eat this apple? Everybody else is really happy with it. And we can talk to each other. We don't even have to pick up a phone now. It's amazing. And I can access the internet and all that. And just in that moment, boom, there's the singularity. There, the whole thing ends. No? And that's it's a continuous
kind of
loop.
lost me. So wait, so let's break it down.
Well, I haven't. It's not really thought through totally now.
Are we people just walking around? Or are we right the way?
No, this
are we
is
actually
in this life we're living.
Okay, so me and you are living.
No, the whole world is a loop, and the loop.
Yeah.
This life
is Adam.
Is a loop, and everything comes to the moment of consuming this piece of Apple computer. The whole thing is obliterated. And we start again, and we're
the way back from the beginning of time.
We start again and we're constantly trying to get out of the scenario of not eating the apple of knowledge,
of not taking the chip into our brain, of not getting to that.
And it's linked to this idea that in the garden, when he ate the apple, he suddenly discovered. It's like in the beginning there was the word. So what is everything if there is no language used to describe it? It's just. Everything.
Yeah.
It isn't a singular,
you
separate
say
things.
everything because...
You couldn't even say everything, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just this, like, a kid doesn't have the words. And then suddenly we get this knowledge. Anyway, it's a little bit out there.
So, all right. Well, that makes me think of that non-duality thing then again.
Well, let's say...
because there's no word to describe anything because there is no thing. See, I had questions.
Well, I won't have the answers now.
I was watching him talk and I had questions, but I can't remember specifically what they were until I saw him speak again.
Well, you see...
Because because supposedly when you disappear... Well, do people know what non-duality is?
I'd say actually the people that are most watching these are tuning in to see... the people that are most watching them are people that are interested in non-duality.
Okay.
I would, based on the fact that the audience really came from the film, and then,
and then it grew from there.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the thing. All those people who are watching who are interested in non-duality.
Yeah.
How many of them have actually? How many of them would you say have ever experienced the phenomenon that is non-duality?
Eating the apple sort of thing, tasting the apple. It's hard to know. I sometimes when I see the comments and I see people really loving it or really, and I think obviously there's something there that I don't know. I have no idea.
Or are they like you? Because you've never experienced the non-duality point, have you? Were you disconnected?
I can't. It's a kind of a misnomer as well.
Because you don't know when it's happened. Because
well,
once
you're
no longer you.
Yeah, it's kind
you're
of...
back before you know it's happened.
You're back wondering what happened.
Okay, but you see, I've had experiences like this where you feel like you're... Have you ever had those experiences where you feel like your body is just... Like it's a physical feeling, but you know that it doesn't come from a physical place, that it comes from a mental state where you feel like your body's sort of pulled apart and then put back together?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I've had it a few times, and I saw Jordan Peterson talked about it, and that's the first time I'd heard about it anywhere else because I'd experienced it. And the first time I was in maybe 22, and I was very in a very dark place at that point in my life. There was no light really that I could understand. And so I remember sitting there and I was writing one day, and I can't remember, it was in this blue I still have it to this day, this blue sort of hardback book about the AEA size. And I was writing, do you understand the words that they speak? I think it was very high as well. Do you understand the words that they speak? Do you understand the words do you understand? And I wouldn't finish the sentence. Sometimes I'd write the whole sentence, sometimes I'd write it, and I was in a repetitive sort of trance as I wrote it. And
what were you doing? Sorry, you were just writing shit down?
I just used to just write in diaries.
Okay, yeah,
You know, I've started
like
trying
kind
to
of
do it
like the
again.
artist's way sort of thing.
No, just whatever. Sometimes it would be like a
Free fall
diary
writing.
entry, like "Gotta feel timid," you know, or sometimes it'd be a poem, or sometimes it'd be a song, or the beginning of a story, or
Okay,
just whatever
yeah,
came
yeah,
into my
yeah.
head. I'd sit down and write it. And this particular day, I was just feeling very angsty, so I was just writing. And for some reason, I decided just to write this sentence. I had no idea why. And I don't understand what it means, but it was probably because I didn't really quite trust people, because I was quite paranoid at the time, and I suppose I was experiencing things with my brother and his illness, and so there's all these sort of things that were coming in. Anyway, so I was writing, do you understand the words that they speak? Do you understand do you understand the words that they speak? And then all of a sudden, bong, and it's like something else took hold of my hand, and I drew this like oval shape with a cone at the back of it, all right? And I could have kept drawing, but I pulled my ego sort of came back to reality when I came back, and I pulled myself back into reality. And I had it one other time when I was reading Carl Jung. I was reading him last year. And it was actually a section from a Jordan Peterson lecture, and if you go online you can find this guy.
Yeah.
And I was reading, and I had this moment of, and I had an epiphany about trying to be famous and trying to be an actor and stuff like that. And so there was a split from reality. And so maybe, like within that split, before I came back and was able to think, and this weird reverberation feeling that had gone through my body, that I had disappeared for those few seconds, and that maybe that I had returned within those few seconds without even knowing it. And that shaking or that resonance was just a residue of whatever had happened within my mind while I was gone for those few seconds. And the two were so polarly different. You know, one, I was sitting in the National Library, I was studying, I was really intrigued about what I was writing, and then I wrote a little piece about it, and my ideas sort of came together. And the other, I was just in a traumatic place, scribbling like a mantra almost, like
Yeah.
and it's only ever happened to me those 2 points in my life, and I can't explain them. And so maybe I don't know what the non-duality going into it and coming out of it feels like, but did you ever talk to them? Was there ever physical sensation, or all of a sudden it was like, here I am, oh, I'm back, but I know that something happened?
Well, you see, I actually think that idea of I'm gone and I'm back, I think I seem to experience that an awful lot. Like even going running, I'm gone, just totally gone from the planet, and then suddenly I'm back running. And it's not like you can understand what it was like to be gone. It's just I'm actually gone. I'm just there's no.
Is there music playing?
I might be lost in the music, we'll say, or I might be lost in thought, or you could give a kind of an explanation as to not being there, but But I think that can happen in flow states, or you know,
No, it's not like that.
Okay, well, so
It's not like that. I know what a flow state is, where you're deep in work, and then all of a sudden you look up and you're like, "Fuck, that's been an hour of me working on this thing. That's incredible." It's not like that.
So this is just your go on. So then,
But this is a complete feeling. I'm just trying to link it in some way to non-duality, to understand what that difference is of being there and then not being there, and then being back to being you, and then having an idea. Because if non-duality is a place where you get to where you no longer exist, and therefore there's no reflection of you coming back to yourself, therefore you don't know you're actually there once you achieve that. Isn't that what it is? Then how do you know it even happens? How do you know you just didn't blink for a long time? Because has it something changed inside you within that time that you reached non-duality? Because if nothing's changed within you because you no longer exist, then does it matter within the real world, or is it even possible? Or maybe you just sneezed and there wasn't. And I don't mean to be condescending towards non-duality. I'm just trying to understand it.
Yeah, well, you see, I've loads of concepts about it. So I can tell you some of the concepts I have about it, and loads of thoughts about it. Like loads and loads of thoughts about it. So, you know, this idea that this is kind of like we're going down the rabbit hole one way or another.
Right.
So, you know, there's this idea that
I just feel like people won't have context who don't know what it is. Like Emma or someone watching, they'll have no idea what we're talking about. Well, I suppose I just explained it there. Anyway.
Well, non-duality, I couldn't tell you what it is.
Yeah.
It is not even a subject, to be fair. But I suppose in the game of seeking, we'd say, and some people kind of might go seeking enlightenment, you come across this non-dual message. And this non-dual message kind of says, and again, we'll see what I'm going to say about it, because I don't really know conceptually, but it's this idea that there is nobody. There is just this oneness, and there's everything, and nothing is separate from it. It only appears like it's separate. So this is everything being Dylan and Frank having an experience, but in the only kind of overlay, only kind of overlay in all of this is the idea that you're there and the world is out there and you exist in time and space, and this is Earth, and up there are the stars, and that's the only thing, that the only overlay is that you feel you're real. And what they're saying, what non-duality is saying, that there is nobody. And all there is talk and breathing. So it is absolutely fucking totally. All there is
So is talking and breathing real, or is that just something that we imagine?
So all there is talking, breathing, thinking, hearing. All there is that.
As our senses.
But there's nobody orchestrating the whole thing. There's just apparently. Now the apparent is the thing that's very difficult to understand. There's only the apparent sense that you are in control of what you're doing, that you are in control of your thinking, you're in control of your talking, that you're in the control of your hand movements, that you are there. That's the only illusion. And what the whole thing is this idea that there, not an idea, for me it's a concept, but obviously once I heard it I couldn't unhear it, that the self is an illusion, complete and utter illusion.
Okay, wait.
And there's no attainment.
Hold on. So
we're fucked now.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So let's go back. So there is breathing, there is walking, there is all of that, or is that just what we think there is?
No,
because
there is something.
So
happening.
all of
this is something
happening. This is happening.
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
Apparently.
Sorry, no, I don't mean to be using that word. That's the word. If I would say this is happening, that somebody would say
supposedly.
It's apparently. But can I when we do something before we try to figure out what non-duality is?
Can I just say one thing before that?
Yeah.
Because I was thinking that, are we like an atom? Because if the world is an atom and we're the nucleus, then we're just there. But within the nucleus there is other components which are so tiny we can't even understand them. But maybe inside the nucleus there's loads of little humans running around the place.
See, I think then...
And so therefore when you hit the apparent thing, then therefore you just realise, you just become the atom as a whole thing instead of the person that is inside the atom that makes it work. Or am I completely misunderstanding it?
Well, first of all, I don't understand it. So,
okay.
But can we see?
Okay.
Can we do it in a different way? Because see, I could tell you loads and loads and loads about non-duality, but I actually don't like to listen to myself talking about it. I prefer to start the rabbit hole, that we go down this rabbit hole in a kind of our own curious way, right? So as opposed to all the things that I might have read and all that, I don't really want to, tell you about them, because I'm just regurgitating stuff. But why would you even be interested in non-duality, for example? Because obviously it strikes a chord, but forget that for a moment, right? Just bear with me.
Can I get a beer?
Oh yeah,
we do this?
Yeah. Of course.
So I'm going on the red, am I?
Yeah, well, that's what we agreed in advance, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Well, now there is
Has that
other
been
ones.
out of the ice?
No.
Oh, it's been in the ice. It feels very dry. It has. I can see you picked it up and checked it.
Yeah, is it not? Do you want to leave it in the ice for a little bit longer?
No, fine. I'll fuck it.
It should be cold.
I'll get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's. Okay.
The rabbit. You see, I kind of prefer the idea of the rabbit hole, because then we're not using words that we don't understand, because this can't be beyond simplicity. Okay. So right here we are. This is flat. This is flatline all views here now, but here we are, right?
Yeah. Okay.
We are here talking.
Okay.
Now everything that we have learned throughout our entire life is based on information that somebody has given us. So somebody has given us a name, has told us what year it is, told us the planet, given us a guidance on this is how life should be lived. This is what you should believe in. These are all the things, and we kind of, all of those things that are apparent are as real as the day is long, because we've been given them, and how can you question them? Because if you take away all those rock solid things, like you even mentioned it earlier, you're left with a little bit of uncertainty. So what exactly is this then that we're in from our own experience? And I'm saying we are in because there's no other way. I mean, we're having a chat here. But what is this thing? That's the rabbit hole, lad.
What is it? A computer simulation?
Well,
Are we
what
an
is
atom?
it? What does it feel like in what we're doing right now? What is this?
What does this feel like?
Well, what is, we call it life, we call it existence, we call it fucking all these things that we've learned that this
Survival.
is what's happening.
That's what it is. It's fucking survival.
Alive, we're aliveness, whatever. But what is it exactly? And why do we even want to know what it is?
Because we're curious.
Because we're curious, yeah. Well, because obviously the answers that we think that we're given are not sufficient.
Are not the correct ones.
Yeah, or we don't feel that they're right. So what then,
Yeah, but maybe we just haven't reached the point where we can truly understand what's happening yet. See, I see that we're working in layers, right? And for thousands of years, what we were trying to do was to live, right? And now, since about the 20th
now,
century...
you're talking about years and time and all that.
All right.
Again, it's a concept. Like, what time was it before time? The time is another kind of fixed thing that we kind of live and are, it's definitely real. This is 2018. This is the year, and it's Thursday, so it's definitely Thursday. Now they're not
has
actually
an R and an S in it.
Yeah, they're not. They're not actually real things. They're not a thing. You can't
numbers.
hold.
That's the same with numbers.
They're numbers, but we have. Allows us.
It's an abstract idea that we've given a concept to so that we can understand. It's the same as what we were talking about earlier, so that we can put up the bars so that we can understand the place that we live in.
So that, as opposed to being like my kid Jack talked about his first memory. I was asking about his first memory, and he goes, "My first memory is waking up going, where am I?" And so obviously that the person
that is brilliant.
It is actually fucking brilliant.
That's his
first memory. Where am I? And like, so then it's all obviously something is born in that moment in time that exists. So in a time and space in the world. So what we are trying to figure out here is then forget the idea of time only for a moment, only because we have been given that as a concept.
Okay.
And it's a rigid fixed thing. Like, I don't know where we're going with this either.
Okay.
So we don't have time.
We don't have time.
And then, we don't have a place in time, even though we're living in Dublin in a world. Do we really want to keep going here?
Well, the thing is, because
if you don't have
my brain hurts because so we don't have time. Okay, so that's fine. I can actually handle the idea of not having time.
Okay, so we don't have location then.
Because once we're in time, it changes all the time. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm, say, for example, having sex, time moves different than if I'm sending an email, right? Yeah. Time moves different. So we don't know what time is, right? No. So we don't have time.
It's made up.
So that's fine.
Yeah,
fine.
so
we
that's
can get rid of
gone.
time.
Yeah.
All right. But location.
Location, yeah.
So we don't have location.
Well, you see, it's based on words like north, south, east and west.
Okay.
They're suddenly rock solid.
Which is the news.
Directions.
Yeah.
They're, Dublin, like, somebody said to me, actually
boxes.
Robin in an email said to me, people talk about London, but can you go and dig up under the ground and find a piece that is actually London? London and Ireland and Dublin are just ideas. They're not actually real. You don't look down and from the sky and go, well, we just put a name and a label and that makes it so. But
it's still there.
No.
London's not there.
No, I'm not saying that it's not there. I'm saying that it's still a name. It's not actual reality.
Okay, well, let's not call it London. Let's give
so
it no
we
name.
don't have location then.
But it is there.
Right, but we now don't have it. So I'm not, whether it's there or not, just think of Dublin.
Yeah, but that's what a location... Okay, so then the word but then it's a different word, right? So Dublin is just a name that we gave to this plot of land that happens to be at this end of
We've put a border on things and made it separate.
But that's the location. But it's still the location.
It's like we're calling Mars.
But it's still there.
But I'm not saying that whether it's there or it's not there. What I'm going to say, we're talking about ourselves.
So we're just talking about
the
wording.
idea of location.
Okay.
And the idea of location, and that this
so
is
we're
in Dublin.
House.
Yeah, we're in Frank's house in Dublin, in Ireland, in his attic, having a beer. But the location thing is an idea as well.
That was conceived by people.
It's conceived by that we're here in time and space.
Okay, yeah.
So
but we're still here, though.
Well, well, we're going to get
So
to that,
that's
'cause
the
I don't-
next level.
Well,
All right.
so because I don't know, I've never gone this.
So
I've
we've
never
never-
gone. I've never gone beyond time and space.
So we've
in
no... Okay,
we've no
I can
location,
understand about
and-
time. Time is fine.
and we've no location either. That's nameable. We've just
Okay, we've no
just
nameable
here.
location.
We're just here. We're just here.
here. And we don't know what these are. These are just things that... where we happen to be.
Yeah, we're in a place here.
Yeah, we're not sitting because that's a thing, right?
Well, I don't know, but maybe we are. I mean, there's a sensation of being on a chair, and
Yeah,
this is a chair.
And we can change... Well, is it a chair, though? That's just the name that we gave it.
That's the name that we gave it. Yeah.
So we're just here.
We're just here.
But then once we're here, doesn't that give it a location?
Okay. Well, yeah. So this is where it gets.
My brain... And it's like I feel like things start to change when I start thinking like this.
Yeah.
Do you know that way?
But it's so because I don't know where we're
But
going. with
is
this,
that
but no,
because we're confused? I mean, this is the
Well,
non-duality
we've taken.
thing.
Well, no.
Because we're
forget
taking away those
forget-
barriers that
forget-
we were talking
I
about.
really want to forget non-duality just for the
Okay.
moment.
Oh,
just
this
for
isn't
the-
non-duality.
I don't know what it is, but
Okay,
let's. This is a curiosity thing. Like
Okay.
we can agree that the idea of time is just this thing that we've been given.
Yeah.
Also, a location. Like we've called this Earth and Dublin.
Yeah.
All of it is just a word, right?
But it's not a thing we've been given. It's just a label that we give it. So
You
then-
guess to give a label.
then
So
we
we
have
don't-
to get rid of language.
No. Well, just for the moment, okay, that we've got rid of time and location.
Okay.
Just for the purpose of
I'm
this.
with
all-
you with that.
Okay.
I'm with you on that.
So then, this is where I don't know where we're going to go with this, right?
Okay. This is the rabbit hole. This is
Well,
Alice.
I think we started at the rabbit hole, but so then we go to the place of there's Dylan. This is Frank. We haven't even had a joint. We haven't even had a joint.
No, we
This is
haven't
one
even.
beer.
We're not,
Jesus.
I'm on number 2, actually. I was thinking. Right.
Anyway, just
Get it
so
into
there's
Cynthia.
Dylan, and this is Frank.
Which is just a concept.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
But is it a concept? Because what's a concept?
well, we are fixed in time and space, and this is Dylan and this is Frank talking. This is, but again, you see, it's funny. Like, I can handle the idea of time. That's just not real.
Yeah,
I can
so can
handle
I,
the
because
idea
you
of
can tell the
location
difference.
as well. That when I'm here and we're just talking, I can handle the
But
idea
in
of
reality,
location.
that's
that-
just a naming thing, I think.
Yeah, but I can get the sense of location.
Okay, yes.
But then when we come now to the next thing of us, the idea of being here and I'm here and you're there. And yet still you could apply the same intellectual sort of mindset to the idea of being here.
But maybe it's not intellectual.
Yeah, because I don't
Maybe
know.
this is the thing that, like, because my friend Adil keeps saying to me, it's like, because I intellectualize everything. And I think you do as well. You're very much like me.
I would think about things an awful
So,
lot, yeah.
yeah. So it's about completely letting go of that thought as well. So then, are we looking at this in an intellectual way?
Well, we're not actually thinking about too much as the talking is happening here, it's fair to say, are we? We're not really going deep in thought. But the idea then that you're there and I'm here. That's language. And that's all we're here talking. And somehow talking is happening. The whole thing, all of this right now is happening.
Yeah. I feel like I've taken some mushrooms or something. Yeah, okay. So
All of this is happening right now.
Yes.
Yeah. We know that much, don't we? Do we? Yeah.
I suppose we're aware that this is happening.
But we don't-
have got evidence.
We've got evidence. We don't know how exactly the whole talking thing is happening, the interaction is happening.
It just happens.
Yeah. We don't know how, though. It just seems to be happening now. This unfolding here.
But I'll tell you something. Since we started, and this is why I say it kind of feels like on mushrooms or something, because since we lost time and we lost space, I feel like I'm far more in the moment.
Yeah.
And that while you're speaking, they're just words that are coming into my mind without me analysing them.
Yeah.
While earlier when you would speak, I would drift into a memory of what happened earlier on today. While you're speaking, still listening, well, that's kind of how my mind would generally work. But it's like the words are completely coming in and flowing over.
Well,
but then again, what are they flowing over? What are they, if we're saying that me and you aren't actually here, which is a location, but then how are the words streaming over my mind for me to give a response?
Well, you see, that's the free. You know what? Well, let's see. Can we go as opposed to how we have no? In reality, we have no concept of how anything is happening. Okay. Really, if we're to be totally truthful,
this is the intellectual.
Well, but we've no idea about how the heart. We've thoughts about it, but this is our body, and yet we don't know how it's actually working. Really, in we don't really know how it works. How this thing that apparently is definitely me, and yet. Sure, I mean, if it was definitely me, I'd have better hair than you. Do you know what I mean? If I was in control of all of these things that are happening equally, but yet there is a feeling that
I don't think you'd have better hair than me.
for the purpose of this example.
I know. I in my head I went, let that go.
No, I'm fucking it too. But if you see, you were talking about that heightened thing of, I think so. Then you see, it's to try and go say this rabbit hole of not. You see, that's why whatever it is, it has to be childlike. Can't be a scientist. If a scientist comes in here and says it's in a book, then it's more known. It's more rock solid ideas or concepts. Whereas it has to. When I'm talking about it, I don't really know what I mean by that, but whatever we're talking about has to be so simple that it's so close. If a child is not looking for anything apart from a bit of milk here and there, if a child is looking for that, it has to be as simple as that.
Yeah.
It can't be complex. Do you know what I mean by that? It can't be intellectual. It can't be with the mind.
Okay.
I don't really have anything beyond that. I'm just saying. So we're still looking.
You see,
here.
The responses that I have to that are responses that are preconceived notions that I hold in my head. Yeah. So if I want to answer you honestly and truthfully, then I have to just let it come from an idea of what you're saying. But that's not happening. What's happening is I'm searching for ideas of explanation, if I'm speaking completely candidly.
Yeah.
Like earlier on, you talked of the story of how Jake woke up and... Jack, yeah, I thought it was Jack. I spelt it Jack in my head when I was looking at it, but I said it Jake. That's odd. But how he had the first...
Where am I, yeah.
Yeah, and Neve once said to me, my niece, sometimes when I close my eyes, I change colour. And then I was like, is that the most profound or the most stupid thing I've ever heard? Because much like we're not in a place, we're not actually a colour then, right? Because that's just a concept that we put towards each other. But then as a 3-year-old child, that didn't matter to her, because once she closed her eyes, then she lost contact with the reality that we've put her inside of, right?
Yeah.
So I don't actually know where this goes. You see, that's what I mean. Because when you're talking and it kind of makes sense, I feel like I want to resort back to analogies or different stories that explain the reality that we live in, which makes sense to me while I'm sitting here in this reality. Yeah.
But you see, I can't go there anymore into the safe zone. I kind of I want to peer over the rabbit hole.
Yeah, but I don't know how to take that step forward to have a look over the edge. You see what I mean? Like I actually feel very calm.
Yeah.
And I quite
it is
numb almost.
Well, it's a bit of a mystery. It is. We are right without our usual explanations for what's happening. We are at a loss. Like we are kind of, and in that loss, that actually feels okay. I think to feel without all those things that we know in the world, and we need to achieve this, and all those things that appear in front of us in life. Without all the knowns, it's that's the edgy thing, isn't it? Like
supposedly, according to my mate Adil, this is how we should be constantly, within this state of where there's that open and flow, without the intellectual boundaries that we placed around.
Yeah,
which is a form of Taoism in a way. Right?
You see, and that's totally cool if you want. It's a whole new religion then, and a new way of trying to be. Whereas still the mystery you come back to, and you go, where then well, it should be this way. It is how it is. In the same way, we didn't know that the rabbit hole would make us feel like we're feeling now when we're talking
feel
about
this
I
as
totally
well?
do. Yeah. I mean,
And do you get this
see,
quite a bit when you go into these sort of
I
conversations?
suppose I do, really. Yeah, that's where.
So you're kind of a bit more used to this sort
Well,
of
it's
state
still. I
than
kind
would
of
be.
sometimes still don't. You see, when you were starting to say about non-duality, I thought, I don't really want to talk about non-duality. I want to go with this as to the mystery thing. What and that's natural curiosity, that somehow all the knowns are just not satisfying. And so then when we're here talking, I am at a loss.
At a loss is a great way of putting it. I feel kind of vulnerable almost. Do you
Yeah.
know that way? So everyone watches going like, what are they talking about? They're just still sitting there talking.
They're hammered.
Oh, that brought a bit of reality back. Okay, good. Well, not good, maybe. Okay, because I was thinking there that maybe we should take it back a step or two.
Yeah.
Okay, so we said...
Step back out the rabbit hole.
What did you put in the beer? What the fuck is that?
Step out the rabbit hole.
This is like, I'm a beer and a sip in. It certainly doesn't feel like that. All right, okay.
It doesn't feel like that, does it?
It really doesn't. And
I'm gonna
now,
eat the last of these crisps here.
see, this is the thing.
Sorry, the thing I was going to say to you is this. Now, this is conceptual, but this idea of where two or three are gathered together. In my name, there I am in the midst of them. Now, that's...
Is this religion?
Yeah, your man
This is
Jeebus would have said that.
Yeah, the three is one and one is three.
No, but you see, I kind of like the idea that when you kind of really go into the unknown chartered waters, now you can't even go in because it's pretty obvious there. We kind of couldn't go any further, really. We just couldn't really go any further. Could we? How further do you go? Where do you go? Like, then.
Well, are you at the same point? Is that where you've got to at that point within the other times that you've done it, or have you been with people who were able to?
Well, you see, I suppose then there's this idea that that's where
a nice
I suppose
calm feeling afterwards as well, right?
Yeah, and I suppose if you go to some of the meetings, I suppose that's why some people go to the meetings. Apparently, everybody would talk about the energetic sense of being in the room, and there's all these people there going, "This is a mystery. This is an utter mystery." And that's they get up in the room and this is authority-less. There's no ruler in this. It's absolute chaos. And you see in that people kind of come to a point in their life they're interested in it. Or not they just seem to be drawn into it. I have been drawn into it. That's why I went to Norway.
I saw you in Norway.
Yeah.
And isn't it?
An hour and a half.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Kettle.
Oh, sure, we should have brought the fucking second packet up.
Yeah. Go on while you're saying that now.
While I was watching you within this video, and I thoroughly recommend this to people who aren't into non-duality as well, because it's what made me interested in talking to you about it. Because we've talked about non-duality and these ideas, and I know that this wasn't non-duality, just an exercise maybe.
Well, no, it was. I felt the genuine need. I was going to message you during the weekend and about let's go down the rabbit hole.
Well, if I hadn't watched the non-duality video, I don't think I would have been as open to doing it.
Okay, yeah.
Alright, so I would recommend watching Frank's non-duality. It's not just a push for the channel or whatever, but because it's very well edited and it caught my attention. But the thing that got me most, maybe because I know you, is when your man was talking to you, you seemed miles away a lot of the time. When normally, when you're in an interview, you're very...
You're not...
But it seemed like at points you were just... There was no responses. And I was like... I was thinking at first, is this a clever tactic that Frank is using? An interview tactic. I was trying to learn, I was like, is this a clever interview tactic where he's just letting the man speak? But now after experiencing that, I don't know if it...
No,
if it was just that
and
you
there's an
were
hour and 10 minutes of footage, and you're not the my friend Boris said the same thing. Said would have liked to have seen more of me. Maybe he felt maybe I felt I shouldn't be in it. I think my brains were blown, utterly. And I suppose what was being said is
you don't get it when you're watching it the same feeling, that from him as that. So when I was watching it as someone who knows Frank and understands your kind of understands how you do interviews.
Yeah.
So I was watching it in that sort of and watching. Oh look, Frank's taking a different turn with this video.
It's totally
the
disarmed.
editing is completely different to what you normally do.
Yeah,
I mean, there are points I'm like, look at Frank there when you're going through the airport with the camera pointing up at you, and like, that's a nice Frank shot, stuff like that. But then when you're in the interviews, I was like, what is he trying to capture here? Because I couldn't understand it.
I wasn't really. I think I just set up the camera, and then you nervously kind of go into these discussions. I don't know. I mean, it's the combination of a few days with Robin, and we were talking about this. And you see, a lot of the time, maybe I would approach it of trying to understand it or trying to get it, and then sometimes your brains are kind of so blown. Like that was times over the few days, we just sit there and nothing would be said. And then for that...
How long were you there?
I arrived on a Monday and I left on the Friday.
So you went specifically to talk, and what was the guy's... That was Robin?
Robin, yeah.
And normally you do interviews with him over the...
I'd never met him before, never talked to him, we just did an email.
Right.
Just an email.
Well then, who was it you talked to? Richard. Who was it you talked to about non-duality that made Robin invite you over?
Well, I'd done a few.
Oh, right.
I've done a few, and
the
made them 0 and 1 was the first I did.
Yeah.
And then I did talk to other, obviously I have Kenneth, my mate in Galway.
That's who it is, Kenneth.
And then a couple, Rebecca Maroon, and then Lisa Lennon I would have talked to. I talked to a lot of people about it.
Yeah? And do they all sort of come to the same sort of conclusion, or do they all hit the same wall at the same point of...
You see, I think slightly... See, this is the thing, right? Maybe that is drawn.
But it seems just simple for us to hit that moment.
I think though, just bear with this now. This is the other side of the rabbit hole. So my sense is that, so when I started 0 and 1 in the film, I said there's somebody here doing an interview, and there's nobody there. And your man goes, "Well, that's how it is. There's nobody here."
He just said it like you.
So your man goes, Tony Parsons, for example, said, "But that's how it is. There's nobody here.
Yeah.
There's no. All there is talking, breathing, listening, and so this is
But
absolute
who
carnage.
does the talking?
Talking happens by itself.
No, it doesn't.
Well,
see, and now you see, I'm back in my
would you see in your estimation of the world, you're there and you're in control, but yet you're not in control of the breathing at night time. That happens by itself. You're not in control of how the blood flows. You're not in control of how the hair grows, the nails grow. Yeah. But you're definitely in control of the talking as far as you're concerned. Whereas, and I would be the same, even though I suppose it's a bit flimsy, but that I still would have that feeling of I'm here and the world is out there and I'm in control.
What do you mean it's a bit flimsy?
Well, you see, sometimes when you talk about it, like if you notice in the conversation, when we were right there in that conversation, there's something happens. I don't know what it is.
Well, it's just a complete disconnect from ego, I think.
So then, if that's what you want to call it, in their scenario, my impression is that for them, the self has dropped away.
Right.
So there is nobody there.
But that's the ego. So is it a different way of placing that? So is that the place of non-duality where we were just there?
But you see, I don't even think there's a place there where somebody can go, well, my ego has dropped, but I'm still great. But then, so who is left to know? There's nobody there to claim the absence.
Well, I was still here talking to you.
Well, what I'm saying is, in that situation, say for example, the likes of
didn't
Tony
feel
Parsons
as strongly as
or,
Dylan at the time. I felt like...
Well, I'm not even talking about us for the moment, right?
Okay.
But I'm just talking about these ones that I've interviewed and why I've gone back. I suppose that there is something energetically in how they're talking that I feel is it's like nobody would claim their own absence. Do you know what I mean by that? You're not going to say, well, if I'm suddenly not here, but there's nobody, but there's still just talking. And there's breathing, and there's hearing, and there's sounds, and whatever, but there's no center point to everything that's happening. So I would say, like the likes of, we'll say Tony, that maybe that it's gone from him, and the likes of a Kenneth, that the self has dropped away. And so that the difference between, when I've talked to them, bear with this now, they would say the only difference between you and I is that you, Frank, you know something, and I know nothing.
So I know something.
that we know something, that we know we're here
But they
in
don't.
Dublin, and but they say also that it's an
But then-
energetic. Oh, hold on now.
Is there not a bit of an ego that goes with that then? Because they know nothing, but you know something, Frank.
Well, that was one guy who said that, but you see, I haven't a clue. I'm talking about something that I don't totally understand like that. My impression is that almost in seeing them and hearing them and listening to them, that there's something psychosomatic, energetic wise, that there is nobody there.
Well, this is what I was going to say to you. Okay.
But it's a bit mental to say.
So
there's
when
nobody
we
there.
were going down the rabbit hole,
Yeah.
right?
And which we've come out of,
And which pretty
Yeah.
much a little bit,
Yeah.
still a bit. You still feel a bit tingly afterwards, right?
yeah. Well,
Which is a nice feeling.
well, it's an interesting.
Well, you're going the Wicklow Wolf. No.
But I don't have.
I know.
I don't have the other ones are down there. Make always.
This is a different one now. This is
Yeah.
the India.
If I
pale
don't
ale.
enjoy this now, I'm not going to drink.
Well, you can run downstairs and get.
Yeah, well, I leave you alone live on the internet.
Yeah, I can handle that. I'll just plug the comedy, but I don't want to actually. So I'm kind of at a loss for words. What was the word? What was the thing you said when we were there? I've reached a. It's almost like a precipice.
Well, what I'm saying is, I can.
Oh, that's what it was. Can I just
go
ask
for it?
this?
Yeah.
So when you brought up the idea of us going down the rabbit hole, right? Had you thought before about how you were going to bring this up and how we were going to go into it, with the time and the what do you think?
I think it's okay. Only it's got that sandy sort of. No disrespect to you now for bringing them over. I deeply apologise.
It's all right. No, it's fine, Frank.
No, it's fine. But you know yourself, if I was to get the two go with
in
it,
there as well. Yeah,
it's
the
that.
red,
It's just the almost grainy sort of,
yeah,
and there's the red. Yeah.
Yeah, that has it as well.
Mm.
No, I'm only joking. It's actually very nice.
No, the only thing that I wanted to do was, for my own, I wanted to have this chat with you, and I felt, well, we would definitely be able to have it, because it was not like I was going into that chat now there going, well, I'm going to ask questions from you to get a reaction for this, and there wasn't a purpose. It was more so my own curiosity, and I wanted to go down it with somebody else, as opposed to thinking about it in my brain. I wanted to start talking. It's funny that I would decide to do it live on the internet.
Yeah.
But
do you do this when you're on your own?
I suppose I would think about it.
And is it
an awful
capable
lot.
to do it?
It's not really capable of.
Like, so when there's two of us here, it was easier for you to hit that state?
Well, it's not even a state.
Well,
I don't know.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I'm just using words to
know.
describe.
I want to know. Not that I want to know.
Because it definitely had a profound effect on me.
I'm curious about what is happening.
Why is that profound effect happening? Is that what you mean?
But no, not curious about why it's happening.
Again?
No, I'm not curious about why it's happening. I'm curious about this. Just this. I'm curious about this. And you see, for a good while I've been lost in the idea of concepts of non-duality and all that. I'm very, very curious about this. Without explanations.
Very rarely this happens. I find myself speechless on what to say about the subject.
Well, you see, it isn't even a subject. We're talking about. We're talking about this. Like, we're talking about this. What the fuck is this?
I know. Yeah, that's what.
And
I mean.
I don't know. You see, though, just
you see, I need words.
But I
need words based on the way I was brought up. The thing is same as what we were talking about earlier with the boundaries, just to keep us from falling. I need words to understand who I am. Do I?
You see, I wonder then. You see, there's the freedom. In a way, not knowing. But you see, the system always reboots. You always reboot to kind of go, what? Yeah, but I mean, yeah, blah, 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 blah.
That's what I'm doing right now.
You just reboot, like, and then it's. But we don't, in truth, know what the fuck is happening. That's the truth. We don't
within the world.
This is, we even call it reality. We don't really know, we don't know how it's happening.
But have we evolved to the point where we do know yet? This is what I think. Like, are we trying? Is this in a way the same as that, and the same as the thing that you said earlier, where it's the innovators who change the world? It's the ones who step forward. Is reaching this state and holding it as and maintaining it as a natural state that we all share.
No, I'm not.
Is that the
interested in
next stage in evolution?
No. The next stage in evolution.
Is it the next stage in
well,
evolution?
I always think about you say so. You read the Book of Revelations when I was young. I always think about this idea of lying.
When it comes to religion, you have a very strong opinion of it compared to when we talked the last time. You were very like, wow, religion, blah blah blah. But you read the Book of Revelations.
I used to read it all the time. Yeah.
Why?
I was always curious about this idea of this future prediction. I was always curious about the number 666. I couldn't get it. Once I heard.
And how is that in the? Because I don't really know the Bible.
What I was most curious about was this line about the end of times would be when the lion lies down with the lamb. And so I've always been interested in this idea of the apocalypse and end of times. And
so
I think
the lion lying down with the lamb is the end of time?
Well, that's what it says in the Book of Revelation. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, that's not really what I was talking about. What I was talking about.
But isn't that society?
You were talking about this next level of. You were talking about this next level of evolution. And so then my brain went to this idea of the lying down with the lamb.
Yeah.
And this idea of an authority-less society. But I mean, I'm not striving for. I'm not actually striving for a utopic fucking anything. I don't want. I'm not looking to. I don't want to change the world. Or I'm no interest in that. I'm only curious about curiosity. I'm only curious about what's happening.
All right. Okay.
I genuinely am, and for a lot of the time, I'd be trying to figure out non-duality. Trying to figure out non-duality is a misnomer.
It's trying to make a spider web. You're not a spider.
We're just trying to understand. Trying to understand not being there.
Yeah.
What's it like to not being there? Whereas, why exactly am I interested in that? I am curious about what's happening. It's a fucking mystery, and it blows the mind. It literally blows the mind talking about it here. Now, I wouldn't experience this often because mostly I would approach it from this intellectual.
The way I'm trying to approach it, maybe.
I don't know. I don't know what way you're trying to approach it.
Well, I was trying to approach it, and I still am trying to.
But still come back to your own
understand and conceptualize it within the
my
words.
own curiosity is about what the fuck is happening. What is this
within the world?
Well, I just know what is this. Whereas people go, well, you're clapping your hands and it's the world, but you see, when you don't have all the knowns, life is it can be uncomfortable for the person.
I think that's why the majority of people, including myself, they try and. I think that's why.
And me,
that's why we have to put ourselves into boxes. So because if we sat the whole time trying to understand these concepts, then we wouldn't be able to function in what is called the world, right?
Yeah.
So say when you were working for Dell and all that.
Yeah.
Would you have had the time to sit down and really go into in-depth thoughts about these sort of things all of the time and get the sort of constant thought into it where you were able to evolve your thought to the point where you're actually able to conceive of these notions?
Well, I think that happened when my father hit the road.
Your father passed
then
away,
I was kind of curious about what was happening, whereas I never questioned anything really up until
before
that. Not really.
Right. So it was trauma that brought this on then?
Maybe, yeah. That
and
I was
trauma
more,
is just a word that we use
but that I was more
nowadays
interested in. Yeah, it wasn't the explanations
For me,
that
it was
were
after
given.
my brother. It was after my brother, so it's the same
Yeah.
thing. So it was the idea of death and the non-infinite or mortality, is it? Then that breeds us to say, like, what is the point with it? And this can be quite a nihilistic point of view. What is the point in our existence if at one point we're just going to die anyway, and maybe in some way therefore our existence in here and now doesn't actually mean anything, right?
I don't think there is
so
meaning.
Therefore,
in the universe.
we ourselves try and put meaning to things so that we're able to cope with living within the mad sort of whirlwind, washing machine, tumble dryer sort of life that we live. But then, a lot of people are perfectly content without doing that.
Yeah.
And they just...
But that's great for them, like...
Yeah, fuck them. It's great for them.
Yeah.
But then are they? Or is that just... us
I don't
pushing
think it's
that onto other
impossible.
people.
I think it's impossible to know.
Yeah.
I wonder, are we still broadcasting?
I wonder if we're still broadcasting. I wonder if Emma's got all the way to here.
No way. No way, buddy.
I know
No way.
she loves me. But I bet you she's sitting there going, right, fucking, I better call Dylan.
I've seen a total flat line. There might be, whatever, a small man, but then flat line.
It's all right. It's all right. I'm glad you asked me for this conversation, Frank. I really enjoy these sort of debates. I'm actually thinking as we do this, I'm like, my friend Adil really has to watch this. I think he would be very interested in the notion of this. He's very much into Taoism and very much against the Western sort of intellectualization of thought and how we put certain things into boxes and we place ourselves within ideas. And he very much goes like with the idea that like thoughts come and go and that without containing them inside boxes is the best way to be, because they're much like emotions and stuff like that. Emotions are there because we give a label to them, like, oh, I'm sad, but it's like, well, what is sad? In the same sort of idea. So if you just let sad go, then it doesn't actually affect you, It's because you feel sad and you label sad that you have the physiological effects that are knocked on. You get sad and therefore you get sick, or you get angry and you get sick, and you get like so and so, and it affects different parts of your bodies, and that's why you age quicker or slower, and so on and so forth. But if you're able to just let go of all of those things and let them wash over you like water, let's say, and you have a better chance to be free and live in the moment.
Yeah, I don't
but
know. I think that's a little bullshit, like, as well now.
Do you?
I do. Yeah.
In what way?
Because I think
you don't think that emotions affect your health?
No, I think if you're kind of trying to go, well, do you know what I'm going to do today now? I'm going to let all emotions just fucking drop away from me now.
But this takes
somebody's
years
right up
of
behind.
training.
Somebody has crashed the car. Most of them are living in caves. And they've excluded themselves from society.
Yeah,
and that's great. That's brilliant. Your theory there. If that is working for you, you see, that's the thing. When somebody's trying to sell you something, or say this is the way it should be, it's almost like they're looking for validation for what they're doing in a certain way. This is, they're kind of saying it in an almost subtly preachy way. But if that's working for you, that's fucking great, man. That's great. And I think I would have looked into Zen and Taoism. I would have looked into it a huge amount.
Pushes. I think
no, I don't mean it like that now, but I'm just...
But in the majority of time...
Well, I just think it's another... Like,
namaste.
You know yourself, like, you'd meditate all fucking day. You'd be the best meditator on the planet
if
all the time.
There wasn't the building across the road.
Well, yeah.
So I haven't been meditating recently.
But I'm just saying, you know that you'd keep... If there was a route into... Everybody talks about it, well, this is what you need to do now. And I kind of go, well, okay, maybe that'll hit home, maybe it won't with me. I think it's an interesting theory. It seems to work for them.
I might be gullible in senses like that, where people are like, this will work for you. And I'm like, really?
Yeah, you give it a go.
And that's the seeker idea that you were saying before.
Yeah, and I would always be curious about that. Like, sure, fucking, don't I throw myself into cold showers and all that sort of thing. You still doing that? I still do it
once a week.
Yeah, no, I was doing it every day. Last week I was doing it a few days a week. So
really, I went off it for a while. I think I'd like to go back.
But I'm saying, it's more. I give things a go and all that, but I still think it's. Do you know what? I don't know. Whatever works for anybody.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Whatever works.
Like, whatever gets you through this life, and
I might go to the Jackson. Want to get crisps?
Yeah, get some crisps, and get another beer with her down there.
Will I?
Yeah, sure, why not?
We're going 3 hours, will we?
Fuck it, we'll do a Joe Rogan. So, while we're here, ladies and gentlemen, the Stitches Comedy Club. It feels weird promoting something straight after that conversation. It was a really interesting conversation. I know that maybe from you guys on the outside it seemed a bit strange, because there was definitely a disconnect there for a while, and something strange happened while me and Frank were talking. It was beautiful. But I am running a comedy club. That is happening on Wednesday the 31st of October. So if you guys are interested in a bit of stand-up comedy, it's going to be in the Square Ball. Like, this is normally how I sell comedy. Normally I'd be like, hey, ladies and gentlemen. But feel relaxed. So come down to Square Ball. We'll make you laugh your ass off. It's on Halloween night, so you've had the long weekend, you're a bit hungover. Pop in on the Wednesday. I'll be hosting. I am not a comedian as sorts. I just talk shit and get people in a good mood. And then the real comedians are going to come in. We have some amazing comedians of who I know. We have Bloneth. She's the only name that I can remember at the moment. I can remember 3 other names, but they're all from last month's gig. But we have some really top comedians coming in, so do pop along. There'll be some free beer. There's some really great chicken there and stuff like that. And that is the end of the promotion. So now we just have to wait for Frank to come back up. We have been drinking different types of beer today. We've had the Galway Brewery Pale Ale, Red Irish Ale, which is what I'm drinking. This is the one that Frank says doesn't have the grainy taste that most beers have, but I am a fan of the Wicklow Wolf, man. I don't know what else is happening. Nothing much. I do recommend watching that non-duality video that Frank made. And again, I'm at a loss for words, which is so weird for me. Although I haven't stopped talking about nothing. Oh, thank God, Frank.
Were you able to sit here?
I was trying to... The weird thing is, right, normally if I was promoting... It's grand that you're back, I kind of...
There's nobody from Ireland watching this, probably.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, fly over. Comedy show.
Yeah.
Halloween. The place where Halloween comes from.
I'll just check and see how long we're on.
Yeah, we got to be 2 hours.
Are we?
An hour and 45.
An hour and 45, yeah, okay. Well, should we...
We'll wrap it up now. What you call it? I was trying to do the promotion for the gig, but normally I'm very super energetic, but I'm kind of in a zone after that. It's very odd. It's a very odd feeling, Frank. God damn you. You put me at a loss for words. Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah.
To another...
Now I would have been as well, like myself, in there, but then I went and ran up the stairs, so...
Yeah. How often do you try to slip into this state?
I don't try to slip into any state now.
Okay.
I'm just...
Because it would be kind of addictive. You see, that's
no,
what I'd
it's
be
not,
going.
it's not really...
No.
Yeah.
Me speaking from my perspective, like...
Well, you see, we kind of just stopped, though, you see, if you notice. We both stopped.
Yeah.
We tried to have a conversation about... about this, what's happened.
So we did the
We went
Time?
from time,
place.
and you see, so the thing then you have to. We don't have to do anything.
And then we tried to get to who is Dylan Frank. Are they?
Yeah, but you can't really
then we
do
couldn't.
that. Yeah, and then like Kenneth would say things like, it's trying to lift yourself, trying to experience your own absence is like trying to lift yourself up by your ankles. So it's not. It's not.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is pretty good. Yeah. So, and then you see, I suppose I want to know, well, why am I interested in knowing or understanding or trying to figure this out? You know, because I don't really.
I have a question.
Go on, yeah.
So you said like you've tried Taoism. You did the meditation that I did, and left it.
Which one? Transcendental.
Transcendental.
I still do transcendental.
Oh, do you still do it? But just not twice
I
a
have
day.
a very fucking active brain. Like it,
Not twice a day though.
not twice a day.
Do you do it constantly? Like once a week you do it?
I would do more than once a week. Yeah.
Oh, do you still?
I would, yeah. I would just kind of as a.
Every now and then just to
shut
clock
the
out.
fuck up, like, yeah, almost.
It's great, isn't it? Okay, so you've done those. You did the Taoism. What is it about now? Non-duality has been going for a long time with you, though.
Yeah.
How long? 3 years? Before I met you. Right?
No, you see, I really
before we started doing Go Live, I should say.
I got into it. I say, man, I
5 years, is it?
And some probably.
So why has this one stuck around so much? Because you can't get your mind around it.
When I heard, you see, I was interested in this idea of enlightenment. What is enlightenment? How can these there's certain people, whether you're Jesus or whoever the fuck, and all these, you have all these like speakers now who would claim this idea of enlightenment, and I'm kind of going, how do they look so happy and everything seems really blissful? And
maybe they're really good actors.
well, yeah, I'd agree with that. But at the time,
people pay them a lot of money
you know,
and
with
they're
likes of
greedy.
Eckhart Tolle, I think I was drawn in by the Eckhart Tolle because he had this beautiful German voice, and he just sounded like he'd found peace, and I kind of wanted to go.
Was it you or Emmett sent me stuff on him? Was it one of you? Anyway,
Well, I haven't listened to him in a long time, but I used to listen to him 10 years ago.
on a loop.
I used to love The Power of Now, yeah. But you see, he used to say you need to listen to this book a few times before you can. So anyway, I went into that.
I got about 10 minutes into it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, did you not? When you heard you're here to fulfill the divine purpose of the universe, when I heard that, I went, wow. I am here. Well, I am not special.
No, I didn't get that.
I'm not insignificant. I am special.
No.
But so then, but his thing was all about being here now. And I remember one day going, if this is interesting, I don't know if it's interesting but for you, but I remember one day going, trying to be in the here and now, and then I thought, I was watching the football, and I go, do you know what, I'll try and be in the here and now after the football. And then I thought, do you know what, now, you can stick your here and now up your ass now.
I'll try and be in the here and now after the football.
Well, after the football, I'm going to be really good at being in the here and now.
Fucking brilliant. Fucking brilliant, right? That is modern society, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But
okay.
But I left all that behind then, and I went into loads and loads and loads, and then one day on the internet, I saw this message or this thing that said, "There is no enlightenment. Enlightenment is the law. There is no personal enlightenment. Basically, enlightenment is liberation from that which seeks enlightenment. It's the loss of self." And I was when I heard that, and that there is no one that has ever been enlightenment. Enlightenment is the loss of self. When I heard those words, it was something like that. It was from a book, Awakening to the Dream. I couldn't unhear them, and I haven't been able to unhear that.
Say it again once more.
I don't know what
the words that you've never been able to unhear.
Well, no, but it's the idea that there is no. I know, but there is the general idea that there is nobody.
That enlightenment, no, it was
enlightenment is the loss of self.
Of self, that's it. Enlightenment is the loss.
No one has ever experienced enlightenment. Chris. No one has ever experienced enlightenment because enlightenment is the loss of self. And when I heard something along those, what stuck with me is that the idea that there is nobody. There's nobody doing anything. There's nobody doing anything. This is all happening by itself in total free fall. And I suppose I haven't been able to forget that idea or that thinking. I just haven't been able to. So that's why when we started talking about it, Stephen, I wanted to just talk about it from.
Why myself, Frank?
What?
Why myself?
Why am I myself?
Why me?
Why you?
Why enter this conversation with me?
You sort of totally have to go down this rabbit hole. Man, you. I don't know. Maybe
have you tried to have this conversation with others? In that sense,
I haven't started a couple of people on the podcast. I would have started off by going, "Ain't nothing I can say." There's just, but mostly I'm not. I don't really feel so comfortable to be able to go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
I don't feel that comfortable to go down it, and I think there's absolutely no point. But also, I wouldn't feel to talk out loud about this curiosity thing.
With other people in general?
Yeah.
Curiosity to seek that thing. I suppose it doesn't even have a name, that thing. I suppose you
see now, do you want to
really get on with my friend Adil? Because Adil and me connect in this sort of way as well. There's few people that I do. Yourself, I think Adil, but on a different level. Emmett kind of.
Well, you see,
he's beginning to understand. Well, beginning
he
to
has
talk
heard
about
it. He can't help himself now. Really, see, he doesn't want to, but he you know, it'll come up. I find it curious. Like,
really?
He kind of because he doesn't want to hear about it, but he still
do you know
can't forget
he's heard it. He often goes to me like, "What about this non-duality? I just don't get it." But he said that to me 3 times.
He can't let it go. Like, either.
Oh, really?
I think it's funny. He can't let it go.
It's an interesting concept. I'd love to try and do this with Emmett. She'd be like, "What?" I don't know if it would land.
But you see, the idea then, though, I don't like the idea of. It's not that I don't like the idea of non-dualities, because non-duality is one thing and that's fine. But it almost can become another belief structure,
That's
system,
what I
another
was
religion,
gonna
and that's why
say,
I wanted to talk the way we talked there about just
where it's not about non-duality, it's just about the concept is a word.
It can't be somebody.
Is a word.
Yeah, it can't be something. Whatever we are in and whatever we're talking about cannot be so far removed from simplicity. It has to, and it can't be somebody's special knowledge, or it can't be a king or a queen or it can't be anything that somebody owns. It has to include everything, and so it has to be simplicity, and it can't include words really,
Okay.
even though it does include words.
Let's say we were going back to primordial man, right? Or what's it, like cavemen sort of idea. Are they closer connected to this sort of thing because they haven't got words to describe them yet?
It's funny. There's a book called The Fall.
Yeah.
And it's kind of linked to the idea of the fall of man.
Right.
And
well, like the agricultural revolution.
Well, it was kind of like when first weapons were invented. And it's kind of, if you
weapons
look,
weren't invented though, were they?
Well, there was a time when there was no weapons, and then there was weapons.
Well, there was rocks.
Yeah, but then
That's
they stuck them on the end of a pole, and they were able to kill things. And what I'm talking about, there is a book called The Fall. And it almost infers that in Africa there was a kind of a Garden of Eden. It almost infers stuff like that, and it's based on
Kong
where
Island.
we've all come from and that sort of thing. What were you saying there?
Kong Island. I was being trying to be comical.
Like, go on. No,
Kong Island, where King Kong lives.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like
blissful.
Well, it's just nature.
Well, you see, I often think that this is the Garden of Eden, and it's only because words of, I don't even like that, because I think words are great.
The Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
And that outside there is hell.
Well, I don't think that, you see, I think hell and the devil, if
But
you were,
then
if
there
it
wouldn't be a
is,
Garden
is
of Eden
that,
if there isn't that.
I think if you were to look at, because I've looked into this now as well about the idea of a devil, if you're interested in this, that before there was only God, and God was responsible for good and evil, and then people were kind of getting pissed off about the God because of all the earthquakes and the famines and shit. So the religions at the time then brought in a devil, and it started off in Judaism, and it kind of spread, a similar character spread throughout the religions.
So
and he's
at the
almost
beginning
a
there was
patsy.
only God.
It was only God, and then
Who was both good and evil.
he was good and evil.
Much like a human.
Yeah, and then suddenly the devil came along, and he's responsible for the bad shit, but God.
So we can blame it on him. So like
And
us
man.
humans, we're not the devil. We haven't got the devil inside us because the devil's separate to us.
Yeah, but
Well, but in the reality, we are evil and we're good.
And I think, say again now, you say, Jesus out when he was out for the 40 days and the 40 nights. And
Was he?
He was
Off for a walk, was he?
off for a walk. When he went and the devil, I think that's the mind. I think that the inference is the mind, the ego, or the sense of self. That's what I think that's what the devil is. And I think if you see the extremity situations of really bad people,
You think the sense of self is the devil.
Is the devil.
So the
It's
self-awareness
yeah.
is the devil itself, but God is the freedom from the ego.
Well, you see, that's kind of operating in good and evil, but
It is completely.
Whereas I'm not certain there is good and evil. There's bad things and good maybe things apparently.
No,
there's things that happen.
There's definitely good and evil.
Yeah, I don't know if there definitely is good and evil. I know there's horrible things that
horrible
happen to
things.
people, and
that other people do to people.
Yeah.
So,
But I don't know if that's like this unknown force that causes or whatever.
right, all right. Or if it's just people.
It's just humans, yeah.
Yeah, but isn't good and evil in that concept, like the devil and God, just a way of explaining the inner torment or the inner struggle that human beings have to either go one direction where they're going to treat other beings with compassion and love, and those are words. Now,
No.
But since we've done that sort of exercise, you might call it. Words to me are now things, but then within us there is God is the the idea of compassion and love and goodness to other people, while the devil is the horribleness. But it's just a way of explaining how within human beings there is both of them, and you get to, throughout the experiences of your life or decisions that you make throughout your life, choose which path you're going to step into.
Yeah.
Whether you're going to be the person who goes on the evil side and manipulate people for your own means because of things that have happened in your life, or you're going to take to the good side where you're going to step above the horrible things that have happened in your life and step out of them and
that's
still
what you
treat
feel.
other people with compassion. I definitely do. I definitely feel like there was a point in my life where I could have become very maniacal and very evil almost to
See, I think we have all the potential to be absolutely
no
fucking bastards,
exactly
yeah.
that's what I mean
Yeah.
that's what I mean
But
there was an absolute choice that happened, and I think some people don't get it because life works well for them, and then some people have it and they go one way and then they suddenly change and they go back the other way, and vice versa, you know that way.
The point I was trying to make was
So
that
we just put it into a religion to identify it for our own
I think the
brains, to
idea-
conceptualize it. That's what it all is.
say there's everything. I
Yeah.
think where it all came from, where does this idea of a devil come from? This evil, like it's the opposite of lived.
It's just
Is, you know, live is
human
evil.
imagination brought it up
Well,
to
I actually
try
think-
and conceptualize the way that we are as human beings. We are the most complicated thing we know. This fucking machine that can record us and put us up onto the internet and all that isn't as complicated as what's inside your head.
Yeah.
Like, your head is way more complicated than this.
But
whole
I think
setup.
that's where the symbology came from. So this idea of the devil comes from this idea of there's life, and then there's this sense of there's this happening, and then there's this. I just think that's where the symbology came from.
internal struggle.
It's you is the devil.
Yes,
You're the devil,
and you're God,
yeah.
and you're also the people.
No. Well, I said the sense of being somebody is that opposite of life. You're somebody that you know, and
So life is God, and you are the devil.
well, let's just say God is everything, because I think that's a nicer. If God
Like
is absolute,
Gaia. Yeah.
well, there's everything,
Yeah.
and then there's things that are apart from everything.
Also,
I don't know what I'm talking.
so wait, no. I think I know what you're saying. So, God is everything, right? And that's encapsulates
There's nothing apart from it.
everything. Nothing. Like,
So
we
even
are
the
all God. The chair is all God. The microphones, the lights are all
Everything
God.
is,
right?
if you wanted to call it that.
But like, Jesus is man and woman,
well, I think
Do you
Jesus,
know what I mean?
actually think so. That
because he is a part of God, right?
Jesus basically went around saying there is nobody, and that Jesus went around saying there is nobody, and then he got crucified.
Do you know
for
what?
it.
Do you know what fucking Jesus was?
that-
Right. So blue eyes, are an anomaly, right? And they came out of nowhere around about the Red
There's
Sea.
no way he looked like the blonde.
Around about the Red Sea, around about the time that Jesus was supposedly born. So I think Jesus is good looking, really fucking charming, nice dude, right?
He's just a dude.
with bright blue eyes, and everyone's like, he must be a fucking god. He was like Darren Brown, right? He figured out how to manipulate people in a positive way, and then
No, I
everyone
think he
sort of
said
followed.
something absolutely radical, and but there was probably a bit of a craving for what he said.
Okay, now that I have to say, out of all the beers we've had tonight, that's the best.
Hey, I know my beers. Galway Bay.
But even the other
And that's a
Galway
lower
Bay,
percentage too.
even the other Galway Bay
That's a lower percentage.
wasn't as good as this. It just wasn't as good.
Dunno.
This Galway Bay,
Have I said about salt and vinegar crisps? They're just the greatest.
it's absolutely beautiful. Yeah. Well, you see, this is the thing. You know the way Jordan Peterson got... Like, I've taken a step back from Jordan Peterson.
Yeah. He's just a dude having a goal at.
Yeah. But I think a lot of what he teaches is really positive. But unfortunately, because it's become into the political spectrum, it's been blown out of proportion, and I'm sick of hearing him, which is terrible, because I think that he has a lot of great things to teach. He pushed me into the direction of psychology and made me want to achieve more and become a more rounded and fulfilled person, right? Which is really profound and positive. But his are just concepts as well, right? And I forgot what I was talking about.
Well, he's just a dude like us having a go.
Yeah.
He might have read more, into. You see, I totally get it.
But he also has experience with humans.
Oh,
and
yeah,
dealing
he's dealt
it. Like,
with
he's,
the human.
He's lived within.
He's dealt with the human condition, and he interacts with people who want to not feel horrible all the time. And so he has a huge amount of experience. Equally, he doesn't want to feel horrible.
Yeah, because he's depressed. Yeah.
So he gets a bit of freedom.
And he takes antidepressants.
Yeah.
So therefore, if his way of living was correct, then would he need the antidepressants?
You're asking that to yourself?
I am asking that.
He's just a fucking dude having a go, like.
Yeah.
There is no king or queen.
And I think maybe that's the problem, that everyone jumped on this bandwagon and started like praising him as someone he is. This is when I started leaning away from him. Is when I found myself arguing his points that
I think he's still
that
great.
No. When I say leaning away, I mean like not praising him as an almighty being.
Yeah.
Who's out there, you know? Because I was completely Jordan Peters is the only way of life. I've watched every single one of his lectures twice. It's what's pushed me. I've written papers on the papers that he gave you and his lectures online. I challenged my mind with him, and it was brilliant. But then I had to take a step back, much like as you said, he is just a dude having a go.
Yeah.
And it's hard because, I mean, so is the Dalai Lama. You know the Dalai Lama is going to be gone. There's no more Dalai Lama after this. Do you know?
I didn't know that. No.
All right. So
I don't know him. Like
I don't know the full.
I've never met him.
So the way the Dalai Lama works,
I
right?
bet he likes salt and
So
vinegar.
the Dalai, can you pass them over? The Dalai Lama is.
To be honest, he's never experienced true happiness.
Now I have to
If
say,
he's not had
the beer
salt and vinegar kettle crisps.
with the lovely Galway Bay Ale. We should really get sponsorship.
It'd be great. There's no way to sponsor us that.
Anyway, so the Dalai Lama, right? He's like this omnipotent being. Is that the right way to put it?
Omnipotent. I don't know. Yeah, maybe he is.
I think it's omnipotent and
omnipotent. Sorry, I just liked saying
potent because of
No,
my potency.
omnipotent, yeah.
Anyway, he is born into a different human's body all the time, right? But there's another dude who's also extremely fucking powerful and religious, and his job is to find the next Buddha, right?
Right.
And so, much like Buddha finds him, he finds Buddha. Buddha finds him, he finds Buddha. And that's the way it goes in a cycle. He's usually much older than the Buddha, and he finds him when he's young.
Who finds him? Dalai Lama finds.
So the Dalai Lama, yeah. Sorry, I'm saying Buddha, but I mean Dalai Lama.
Sorry, but let's go on.
Okay, so Dalai Lama
is
found by this other guy called Dalai Lama. I can't remember.
The Spotter.
The Spotter. That's it. So the Spotter finds the Dalai Lama, right?
We're connecting.
And then a new one of these spotters is found by the Dalai Lama, and then the new spotter finds the Dalai Lama.
And you found the Dalai Lama in that thing. You show me what you got there.
And crisps.
Remember, your thing that from the scaffolding, and
The
on
Dalai
that
Lama.
is the new Dalai Lama's name.
As Nuala said, I should become a scaffolder. But what happened was, when the whole problem with China and the split up of Nepal and all of that happened, they'd no longer have a new spotter. So therefore, they can't find the next Dalai Lama. And they can't just get a Dalai Lama and bring him into power, because all the people who follow the religion will be like, well, that's fucking bullshit. So this Dalai Lama is the last Dalai Lama.
Right.
You know, after that, they're gone.
We're fucked.
We've no more Dalai Lama. And the Buddhist religion is gone. It's part of why China won't give it back.
What do you mean it's part of why China won't give it back?
I just made that up in my head. The bears have kicked in.
Yeah.
Maybe we should say goodbye.
Yeah, maybe we should say goodbye, yeah. What time is it?
I don't know.
21:21. There we go. That was a good
But that
session.
is true. That is true about the Dalai Lama. This is the last
This is
Dalai
the
Lama.
last Dalai Lama.
That's what you should call this podcast.
I actually was thinking that we call it the rabbit hole.
Oh, the rabbit hole is a good one.
Yeah, I think the rabbit hole's a great one.
Yeah.
I wonder, is there another podcast called The Rabbit Hole?
Maybe there is.
Probably is.
But Frank, I have to say, absolute pleasure.
As always. We'll have the beer here anyway now. We'll
Well,
keep on talking.
I'll have a beer, a bit of dinner.
Put on this here.
I'd have to like it.
Thanks for everything.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
If you have happened to stay to the end, you're legends.
Yeah, you see, well, I don't know. See, I don't drink anymore, so
it's
2
not
beers
sponsored.
in,
It's not sponsored by Kettle
or Galway
or
Bay,
Galway Bay.
or Wicklow Wolf, which
Emmett's going to listen to the end.
is he?
Yeah, Emmett says he does listen a good bit. Yeah.
Does he?
Yeah,
And
so-
Emma, you better beat her.
Thanks, Emmett. Emma hasn't. There's no way.
Emma and
has.
Emmett. No, Emma might. Emma's just sitting there going, what the fuck?
All right, there we go.
Frank,
Dynamite.
Frank, come on, man.